Chris. Share with you the Zoom link. Okay, also on YouTube. Okay. So you can just share it. Check on WhatsApp and then you can move it.
Let's see how it works. Demonstrations. We also have them inside. This is for sidewalk, and this is for reducing, and this is for now what is know how I like
Yes.
No. No.
Now, the other fund. You said the other fund when it first is
It blew the screen and it went out. We are on YouTube and Zoom.
You said the fund on the police.
Which group should I share this information?
Share.
I've put this. Hey,
You sent
Creating more stress.
yes.
what I was saying about
Now we are seeing the a little bit more people.
no, we do not have to do that. For you do this for now. The rest we shall see. We shall just disable Zoom. Yeah, now we just arrange it. You can share the link with Brenda. He knows the right people to. Okay. One day. Of course, it's not our work, but at least.
This time.
Until you do, he's coming to help.
I wanted to help you out. Move together so that you don't just. Yeah, you can. So that you don't just.
Now our projector is offset again.
This guy is in charge. And those photos they shared are the ones I
I wanted to have a video, but then we have, it wouldn't make sense for us to talk about a workshop you attended.
Yes, not workshops, honestly. Papa gave me the feedback and it was a good idea. Photos would speak better than
Yeah. And we've attended this meeting, we've done this.
what impact.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, so they are doing breakfast. That's how
Or remind me.
Please let us certain media. This is the media that we have started.
Video home create.
Hello, welcome back. We will be proceeding in the next few minutes with the rest of our program. Hope you have enjoyed your breakfast or your break. And also you have enjoyed listening in from the different work of different organizations. I believe that our colleagues will be joining us, but we need to move forward so that then we don't lose
Let me also share it
time
here
along the way.
so that
Our conveners are also putting for us a few of the videos that we can begin to appreciate as we move forward.
screen. Let's share. We share entire screen, you think? So that everything they do
So
on the
can,
lab.
can you get the link and share it?
I've shared it on your WhatsApp.
Okay.
I had opened it with VLC. VLC plays better.
I
Hey.
clicked in it and it closed.
It's closed.
Mm.
Just play from my end.
Which is the number
Even including the CSOs, the development partners like GAP, they are part together in this site.
Colleagues, welcome back from the break and welcome back from the gallery walk. Would like to proceed with our workshop. I know our colleagues are still there, but would like to move forward. We continue to extend our warm greetings and warm welcome to every one of us, our colleagues. As well as from the opening remarks will be ensuing. Thereafter, I believe that Doctor will have joined us. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year for those that have not met since last year. Yeah, welcome to this session for today. have been introduced. YADNET is doing great work, and the air pollution program is being implemented in Kampala areas with support from GAP. Would like to thank everyone who has been part of the journey, and we look forward to working with each and everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Agnes, for the warm welcome. Let us appreciate Agnes on behalf of YADNET, who has given us those welcome remarks. And she's really taking us forward. And right now, we'd like to welcome the board chair for the Global Alliance on Health and Pollution to take us forward. Let us join our hands together for Raymond.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Now I see we arrive now here. Morning. Once again. I wish to welcome you once again to this engagement. Most important, I'm doing this engagement because we have been working together for a couple of months. Right? Many of us have been together. So this is part and parcel of that journey we've been having. So on behalf of GAP, I know my colleagues are in transit heading to Vietnam for the Asia Regional Operation Forum. So some of them may not be with us online because they are in that long journey there. And some of us are struggling getting the visa. So it is trouble everywhere. But nevertheless, Global Alliance and Pollution is happy that we've been working together, especially with our country host, which is NEMA. Let's come for NEMA. Host country entity for government, we are really appreciative. Send our regards, Dr. Validega and the team, for ensuring that we work together with government as partners of government. This journey has taken 2 years and so, but we are getting better every day. As an alliance, Uganda joins other 7 countries in Africa to have this program, who have interventions. We have been in Senegal, we have been in Ghana, we have been in Mozambique, we have been in TZ down here. We have also worked closely with Ethiopia, and we are doing a lot of work with Malawi. So having my home country as an outgoing chairperson of the Alliance, I'm just honored that we have been working together. Let's start for ourselves. So when we were told that we need to map out which countries to work with, definitely as a Ugandan, I have to push for my country because we know the challenges there. Though at that time there was an issue of governance, especially on the issue of leadership. Remember the AHA time, especially with the US against countries in relation to the same. So it was hard to convince our US partners to bring projects here. But we stood our ground that there's a lot of problems here. And then that's how we did the research, supported by Macquarie University, Dr. Manuel and team, to reason why Uganda needs to be invested in. We have done the EPP. A program has been launched. Many of you are there. There is a pollution action plan, a 5-year program, which is in 2030, which program gives us what we need to do. So this is part and parcel. As stakeholders, as actors work with government, we call upon you to integrate the HPAP agenda in your plan, and the programs. Those who don't have a copy, I believe we can share. It has what we need to do from consultation done with you, that as a country, we as a country, Uganda, these are the concerns we have. So it is important that you see how do you integrate them in your strategies as a CSO, as an entity, as a private sector, to ensure that you localize areas for sustainable implementation. Because financing streams have gone low world over. Even we've seen projects now, frameworks closing because of the reduced funding in the global north. So what can we do as a country? I think it's important to localize those interventions in our plans. So call upon you to localize, to integrate the EPP arrangement agenda in your strategies and programs. Our teams can share with you the EPP and what it's all about. The other one also to note, which I thought I would share on behalf of GAP, is that GAP is committed to the country. We are committed to Uganda to looking for more resources. This program was 6 months. It was a short program as we focused on getting the longer term. So in discussion with DEFRA as well and other entities to see how do we scale up this. We have gotten assessments from KCCA. There's no KCCA here. Let's come for them. We have worked with them, especially on waste management. We are looking for money for waste management. And the KCCA is going to take lead in that. So we need to see how to work with KCCA as funding comes through to see how do we recycle our waste. We have benchmarked to Ethiopia. They have done well in recycling the waste, creating ethanol energy from the waste. So we are working with the agencies to get more money to benchmark with Ethiopia to have the same done here. Not to see another state come again to our country, Uganda. The teams working in the communities on ULABs, the lead acid batteries, those working on cosmetics, paints, and others. So we need to see how to work together. Appreciate the private sector because in this financing architecture today, it's important to work with the private sector. So in your engagements, ensure that you have private sector on your docket. And we are happy to have PSF here, Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Raise your hand. Yeah. Yes. An agency coordinating private sector entities. How do you work with them? The respective work. Can we work with agencies working with private sector? Whichever you can reach to. Ministries we are appreciating. We know that there's been a short time. We have done a lot. We have backed to a lot of requests. We have done a lot of work. But we still can do more. This has been a marathon of events for 6 months. But we believe the longer term program we're going to have will take us there. We shall see that what we have put together is going to be implemented. That's what we are praying for. We have seen a country where we wrote the same plan and it has been on sale for 5 years because government has not prioritized it. Hopefully, the program we are doing, which you members developed and are agreed on the areas, you will implement it, not to be like the other country. I want to mention the country, okay? But it has been there 5 years, no one is investing in there. Yet the government committed to it. But when there was a change in leadership, in the country of Madagascar, when there was a change in the new leadership, they said that. So we are now discussing with the current government to prioritize it. So can we work together to see these plans implemented? Well, since CSOs, we've been moving around here. What they are doing is the kids at school, the school-going children, the communities, in the ghetto. What can we do to sustain these interventions? So I think that's what I can say is that we look forward to working closer with you, but we call upon you to work together to ensure that what you have done in these 6 months can be sustained for a longer term. To ensure that our HPAC, the 5-year plan in 2030, can be implemented with those synergies we have started with. Otherwise, I thank you very much. We look forward to working closely, and we thank the team that have worked closely with you, and those have been with us all this time long, and we appreciate for the great work you're doing. Thank you, and I wish you a great discussion today. Thank you.
A warm hand clap in appreciation of the remarks from Raymond, and bring us a lot of wealth of knowledge on the context of this, and it leaves us with a lot of hope that this is indeed a scalable program. And that is why we are here. We're not here to close anything, but we are here actually to get views that take us forward. Yeah, in the program that has been 6 months, everybody in this room, I'm very sure, is very instrumental on giving us views on what actions actually we can do as we Ugandans in this room, what actions we can do to take up this program beyond where it is right now, with or without the external engagement or support. We are positive that there is so much more that we can do. He also points out an issue on sustainability. Formerly, when we began the SDGs, the word sustainability was nearly synonymous to environment. So wherever you talk about sustainability, people would go to trees, they don't think about financial sustainability, program sustainability, in the health, in education. They'll just know that sustainability, no, let us use the resources as we live for the future. And we are here talking about also sustainability in the environmental pollution program under the CSR awareness campaign. How can we ensure that the sustainability aspect is actually very strong in there? As we proceed, I'm very sure that you could be having views already coming through your mind. With your notebook, please start writing down some things, because in this dissemination workshop, it is not a close-up in its own. It is also a knowledge hub where we want to get views from you. We want to get actions that we are coming up as team in Uganda, because Raymond has told us different countries are already doing a lot, but in Uganda, this is a pilot. So we want to also write a convincing communique on why this program should be scaled up in Uganda, and maybe those views are going to come from every one of us here. So I want to encourage you from a different portfolio, those within the government, different departments, those in the civil society, our media fraternity, we can't leave you behind. We believe that you also have views on how best we can utilize media to enlarge this campaign and to go beyond the borders of where we have been able to reach. With that, I believe that we are sailing on together. First, check with your neighbor, what so far have they got since morning? In other planning, you need to give space for people to relax a bit. Yeah, should I focus only on you? You're not the only one who knows everything. Yeah, I'm allowing people to chat with their neighbors in a second. Yeah, to know what have you got so far from the gallery walk up to the remarks this morning. What have you got so far in a second, and then we will proceed. What has your neighbor told you? Me, I love moderation, because then I can drop on people and they talk back to me. Oh, great. Were you putting up your hand? Oh, great, yeah.
The pollution balance for quite a long time.
Thank you so much, Peter, for that reflection. For him, so far, what has caught his attention, the way mercury stays in the environment for a long time. It stays with us for a long time. Now, if you kept only knowing about water pollution and air pollution, now lead and mercury is here for us all. And I believe that the session we are going into is going to take us into the detail of some of these different pollution segments that we need to be aware of. And I encourage us, yet again, as I wait for our presentations to be uploaded, I encourage us, please note down one strong idea you want us to take forward in this campaign in a sustainable manner so that we can go beyond the four walls of this room with key communique recommendations that we are taking forward from the dissemination workshop. And moving forward, we are going to swap a little bit of the item on our program. Our doctor will be coming in later to elucidate about GAP and the entire environmental pollution program. But right now, we want to go into the depth of what we already introduced to you at the gallery. Already, Abita is reflecting on Mercury. There is something that you're already reflecting on. And as we reflect, we are going to give you the detail of how this program has been outlaid in the past 6 months. Chris, would you like to introduce the different organizations or our presentations ready?
Yeah, our presentation.
Okay. So colleagues, we are going to get into the presentations from different organizations. And I would like to invite Christopher Chirabe to give us a presentation on the Environmental Pollution Program CSO Awareness Campaign from YADNET. Let us welcome him with a hand clap, please.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Good morning once again.
Good morning, Christopher.
You are most welcome. We are happy to see you here in the dissemination event for the Environmental Pollution Program. So as they set up the projector, I can be taking you through some of the about the Environmental Pollution Program. So this program is being funded by our partners, the UK Department for International Development, and being coordinated by Global Alliance and Health and Pollution. And then here it is in Uganda, it is coordinated by Youth Advocacy and Development Network, which is coordinating 3 other civil society organizations, as we are going to see in the presentation. I request that we switch off those lights. Hopefully that is okay with everyone in the room. Okay. Thank you so much. I was saying that we have the UK Department for International Development, and that is the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs of the UK government. And those are our funders. They are the ones giving us the money to implement this project. And then Global Alliance on Health and Pollution is a coordinating entity, which is coordinating the flow of the money. And then we have Youth Advocacy and Development Network, who is the coordinating local partner here in Uganda. And we also have NEMA as our partner that we are working with on this project. Briefly about YADNET. YADNET is a national youth network in Uganda, bringing together over 48 civil society organizations. We work under the thematic areas of sexual and reproductive health, economic empowerment, environment, and climate change. We envision a young generation empowered to contribute to sustainable development, and our mission is to provide a platform for all youth-focused and youth-driven organizations and youth groups to effectively build capacity young people for sustainable development. Next slide, please. Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that we have been implementing the Environmental Pollution Program. But before we go into further, I want to take you through the state of pollution, especially here in Kampala, where we have been implementing. The table here shows the risk factors that drive most death in Uganda. And when you say Uganda, it's Kampala inclusive. So when you look at the table, you realize that air pollution, okay? Air pollution is one of the risk factors that is driving most death in Uganda. So it tells us that pollution is taking a high toll on Ugandans. When we look at Kampala, Kampala is rapid urbanization with about 5.5% per year, and a population growth rate of 2.9% per year. That is according to the Non-Communicable Disease Report 2024. There is increased urban and industrial activities in Kampala. There is weak enforcement of environmental regulations. There is limited public awareness about pollution. There is polluted air. There is polluted water. Even the soil is polluted. There is improper waste management. There is agrochemical use and misuse. All these problems are being faced here in Kampala. So, moving on, you realize that pollution has a big impact on us as people who are living in this city. And there are both health and economic impacts. So when you look at on the side of health, pollution causes respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Okay? There is waterborne diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and diarrhea. There is neurological and developmental disorders among children. We have seen children with disabilities, growing with disabilities as a result of pollution. There is increased cancers and reproductive health risks as a result of pollution. On the economic side, of course, there is economic losses. There is increased healthcare costs. There is lost productivity, and this is valued at $1.1 million annually, according to the World Bank. And there is increased poverty, of course. On the EPP, we have been implementing an awareness campaign about pollution, and these have been some of our findings in the communities. Okay, first of all, there is low baseline awareness about pollution risks. We found out that the communities are not aware about the risks of pollution. There is high exposure among vulnerable populations. When we talk about vulnerable populations here, we mean women, young people, children at school, people with disabilities. We realize that these are exposed, all these are exposed to pollution, and they are not aware about that. There is strong demand for practical information and solutions. So when people realize that there is a risk of pollution in their communities, so there was a strong demand for solutions. We also realized that the media and community outreaches are effective in broadcasting information about pollution. There are capacity gaps among civil society organizations and community structures. We realize that in Uganda at the moment, there is a lot of civil society organizations that have spiraled, but very few of them are working in line with pollution. So that creates a lot of capacity gaps. There is weak feedback loops between communities and policymakers. We have our friends here from the Ministry of Water, we have our friends from KCCA, we have our friends from EMA, and ministries and other agencies. When we come here in these discussions, they will tell us that there is a lot of sensitization that is taking place. There is a lot of community awareness. There is a lot of media engagement. But when we went to the communities, they are telling us where are they? We do not see them. Okay, where are those policymakers who are supposed to address these issues? Why don't you bring them to us? So there is a gap there. We found out that in the communities, there are, for example, textile offcuts. I call them residents, but so those clothes which are cut off in the textile industry, the communities are using them as fuel. Okay, they use them to provide energy for cooking, marwa, and lots of other things. And this increases the risk of pollution. There is unsafe agrochemical handling and disposal. We have also seen that open burning and informal copper burning are major ambient sources. Members of the communities are burning metals, they are burning tires to harvest copper, which is a valuable commodity. And in the process, they increase the risk of pollution. There is inclusion and gender gaps among communities. You find that there are vulnerable groups that are heavily affected by the risk of pollution. We also found out that refugees and non-nationals are a distinct vulnerable group in the communities, and they also need attention. The economic vulnerability heavily influences environmental pollution. So we found out that there are people in the communities who are depending, who are earning their livelihood out of acts that exacerbate pollution. For example, there are kids who are burning tires to harvest steel. That steel that is in a tire. Okay. It is, according to them, it is a valuable commodity, and once someone gets it, they go and sell it at a fee. So, in the process, they are increasing the risk of pollution. Next slide, please. So, what has been our role in these communities? We have had, like I said, we have had other civil society organizations that have been implementing interventions. We had an climate inclusion network, which was implementing interventions on heavy pollution, and that is specifically lead and material pollution. There was Equal Lives Foundation, which was implementing interventions in relation to air pollution and agrochemical pollution. There was Hands of Hope Initiative, which was implementing interventions on water pollution and solid waste management. We have also done advocacy and policy engagement, where we have we pushed for stronger law enforcement, pollution monitoring, and evidence gathering. Just like we saw in the HPAP technical work group, that these were some of the gaps. And how have we been doing? We have been doing this through partnerships and collaboration with government ministries, with government agencies, with private sector, and civil society organizations. We have also built the capacity of civil society organizations. We have strengthened their technical knowledge on pollution, health impacts, and environmental regulations. We have built skills in the community, in data collection, monitoring, and reporting. We have also supported peer learning and mentorship and experience sharing among civil society organizations. And we have also been part of the efforts for the development of the Health and Pollution Action Plan. These are some of our key achievements. We have strengthened the capacity of CSOs through training, mentorship, peer learning, advocacy messaging, and implementation. We have monitored civil society action. We have tracked their progress and quality of engagement and community impact. We have had establishment and strengthening of school environmental clubs to promote early behavior change. And this is one of our sustainability strategies that we have, right, as we are going to see in the next presentations. We have also reached out to over 3,000 community members with practical education on pollution prevention and health protection. We have contributed to the development of the Health and Pollution Action Plan. Next. These are our recommendations. we have recommendations for civil society, for development partners, and governments. For civil society, we want to see them expand their behavior change and citizen monitoring initiatives to reach out to more communities. We want them to raise awareness of communities and lobby for policy change. For development partners, we want them to invest in civil society capacity building and monitoring, as we saw that capacity among civil society is one of the gaps. And we want them to fund awareness activities in communities. For government, we want them to involve civil society organizations in decision making, and we also want them to support community awareness initiatives. Yeah, so in conclusion, we have seen that civil society play a critical role in pollution management and community awareness, especially here in Kampala. Through advocacy, research, and community engagement, civil society can empower citizens, influence policy, and promote sustainable practices. They bridge the gap between communities and authorities and ensuring accountability and inclusive solutions. So strengthening collaboration between civil society, government, and the private sector is essential in addressing the challenges that can help us build cleaner cities around Uganda. These are our references. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, YADNET. Please, let's appreciate him as he has said, and the entire team on that. We are going to have a roll-on of presentations, and I continue to encourage you to please note down any areas of clarity or any additions, any kind of like inquiries that you would like to make with a particular presenter or organization. And also, we still need feedback from you on what we can put in our general and overall community after this dissemination workshop as a way to add for further scalability of this program in Uganda. Like you have already known, it's only been 6 months. The 6 months is not good enough. A lot more can be done. It's just the beginning. So we're here to also merge and bring our brains and knowledge together on how we can cascade this further. Colleagues, let's put our hands together for, I think, Equal Lives. Yes, let us put our hands together for Equal Lives Foundation to come and take us through also the work that they have been doing. Please let us welcome them all. Welcome,
Thank you so much. I once again welcome you all. My name is Mastula Nakandi, and I work with Equal Lives Foundation. And as the technology sorts itself out, a brief about Equal Lives Foundation. We have been implementing the awareness creation through the EPP program within the areas of Chisenyi, and we have been focusing on 2 pollution priority areas, and that is air pollution and agrochemical use and misuse. Next. As Chris said, we are being funded by UK International Development through DEFRA, and we are being coordinated by GAP, Global Alliance on Health and Pollution. We have been working very closely with Youth Advocacy and Development Network, guiding us and supporting us in implementing the activities we planned. And I would also like to thank NEMA and KCCA through the continuous meetings that we've had. Those meetings have really built our capacity for us to understand these pollutants better in a way that we are able to also take the same messages within the communities that we have been implementing in. So a brief about Equal Lives. We are a youth-led and serving organization, and we aim at empowering young people, especially those within the rural and the slum communities of Uganda. Our vision is a Uganda where all children and young people, regardless of background, have equal access to opportunities, support, and platforms to become confident leaders and change makers within their communities. And our mission is to empower children and youth across Uganda through inclusive education, health, economic empowerment, and environmental programs like the EPP. Next. So our role in the program, as I said, for us, we are focusing on agrochemical use and misuse and air pollution. And why? As we all know, Chisenyi is one of those areas that is highly polluted. First of all, Chisenyi is densely populated with over 40,000 residents living in that community. But also, it's very key to note that Chisenyi is like a small hub of industries that also contribute to air pollution. Some of the pollution sources include vehicle exhaust, open burning that is very common within Chisenyi, burning of copper, and the emissions that are coming from within the grain mills that puts the entire community at risk. And why agrochemical use and misuse? Again, Chisenyi is one of the hubs where they sell these agrochemicals, and we found out through the numerous engagements we've had that there is unsafe storage, there is reuse of pesticide containers, especially by the community members storing in things like sugar. There is incorrect dosing and informal sales that exist within that community that also increase acute poisoning and chronic contamination, especially putting our children at risk and other, for example, persons with disabilities. Next. So after understanding all those and understanding the community we are going to work in, as Equal Lives, we decided to design activities that are going to ensure that we engage this community that is diverse in creative ways. We had activities that were targeting schools, but also we had activities that were targeting communities. For school activities, we focused on 2 schools in Chisenyi. We worked with St. Athanasius Primary School and Faith Primary School. Both of those schools are located within Chisenyi 2, Lubidi Triangle. So one of the activities we first did is creating awareness on air pollution. We also took their agrochemical use and misuse, but practically for the learners, what we thought was very key for them to first focus on is air pollution. And through the awareness sessions we had, we were able to see that the learners were very active. Actually, they knew about air pollution, but our discussions were able to, again, to draw a picture for them within their communities to understand, but we were also able to see them map out pollution sources within their communities. We saw them drawing that there is burning of copper within their communities, there is burning of garbage, but there is also small industries that release emissions that put their health at risk. And within these engagements, we also found out that the learners that were part of these engagements, we also had refugees, which was also a good thing that because they live in those communities, they were also able to have such knowledge that they can take back within their communities. Next. Another activity we did in the school activities were the debates, because we all know how debates really bring out the best and some of the best recommendations. So for example, in St. Athanasius, we were able to see learners coming up with different motions. One of the motions was air pollution. Trees are the best solution to air pollution. And we were able to see learners really opposing and others proposing that indeed planting of trees is the best solution, but other people were also suggesting other measures, which was also a good thing, because for the learners to be able to bring out such important key issues was really very good for us, but for the school administration as well. And we are also able to come up with different essay competitions. After the debates, we realized that it is very key for these learners to write stories and essays from their perspectives to understand what is air pollution, what can the school administrations do in regards to reducing air pollution, and what can their parents and communities do. In fact, we have very good essays of these learners narrating the stories of air pollution, how they have affected them and their communities, and their call to action to different stakeholders. And in that also, we also worked on a community, it's a students' mural. We tasked learners, we gave them pen, markers, and coloring pencils to draw pollution sources. Some of you that did a gallery walk, you were able to appreciate and see some of those drawings where learners were able to draw such pollution sources. And one of the voices we captured during those drawings is one of the students saying that our mural shows trees, self-cooking, and no open burning. I feel proud that my drawing can teach my classmates and even the head teacher about the dangers of air pollution, which is really something good for us, but it is also good for the learners to see that they are airing out their views and perspectives and they are being heard by different stakeholders. Next. For the communities, we also started again with a community awareness before we went into other activities. And again, the community awareness was targeting community members, local leaders, not leaving behind persons with disabilities, youth and women groups. We were able to engage the local leaders to ensure that we practically find ways of explaining what is pollution. What are the main sources of air pollution within Chisenyi? And one of the things we found out was the burning of textiles, as Chris said, as a source of fire for cooking, but also the open burning of garbage that is rampant within the areas of Chisenyi. These community awareness meetings helped us to ensure that community leaders were able to commit themselves to have bylaws that are aimed at reducing open burning. Next. We also had, again, a community mural sale, as we did for the learners, but this was mainly focusing on persons with disabilities. We brought them together to understand their perspective and some of the recommendations that they suggested in regards to reducing of air pollution and agrochemical use and misuse. We also had a capacity building training that brought together different community members and the school administrations we worked with to again train them on agrochemical use, the proper ways of disposing of agrochemical bottles, but also ways as community members they can come up with to reduce these pollutants within their communities. We also did radio and TV talk shows to reach out to a wider audience, and as a way of also again calling different members within other communities to act against air pollution and agrochemical misuse. And one of the voices from the community members during our capacity building is that when the trainers came, we finally put names to the smoke we breathe. It was not just bad air, but pollution from mills, burning, and old batteries that are within our surroundings. After the session, we agreed on simple actions: stop open burning and report dangerous practices. Local leaders promised to follow up, and I feel we can protect our children's health together. Next. So through all the activities we implemented, we were able to focus or ensure that we have gender equality, disability, and social inclusion, because it's a key component in ensuring sustainability of the program. For gender targeting, we were able to set targets of how many persons with disabilities we wanted to attend the different activities, but also how many youth and women groups we wanted, and how many refugees, local leaders, and teachers, which was a good way for us to mobilize intentionally. For disability inclusion, we had activities that were for them, but also we were able to keenly talk with the local leaders to mobilize them to be part of these engagements. For accessibility, we used places that were easily accessible for them, but also we were able to use different IEC materials, as you can see, that were in different languages in Uganda and in English, that were communicating the messages of agrochemical use and air pollution. Next. Some of the key achievements within the 6 months is that we have been able to see enhanced environmental awareness amongst pupils and teachers in a way that we have seen schools committing to strengthen the environmental clubs we have created in these schools, but also we have seen learners practically suggesting simple solutions they can do within their communities and in the school to reduce air pollution. Another thing is that we have seen teacher commitment and institutional integration. For the school environmental clubs, the school administrations agreed that once a month they will give platforms for the environmental clubs to convey messages to their fellow learners about air pollution, again as a way of continuously sharing these messages. But also we have been able to achieve inclusive participation and social equity, whereby we have effectively engaged different community members, not leaving them behind, but also hearing their views and putting them into our advocacy messages. We have also been able to see creative expression and advocacy through art and writing from both the communities and the schools, whereby they were able to draw, but also we have essays of learners that talk about their experiences living in polluted areas. We have also seen improved knowledge and behavior change on agrochemical use from the community leaders we are working with. They committed to awareness creation, again, conducting of community barazas, but also we worked with a group called Sembera Youth Foundation that was dealing with street children. For them, they collect different bottles, but they didn't know that some of the bottles that were collecting were of included agrochemicals. So we were able to see them committing to find ways of protecting themselves against different agrochemicals. But also we were able to see enhanced engagement from communities coming up with different bylaws that again is open banning and banning of copper. Lessons learned within this, we were able to understand that inclusion must be designed, not just added when you go into the field and you see that you need to maybe add one person that is missing with a disability, but you need to be intentional. But also we were able to see that livelihood drivers shape behavior. For example, in Chisenyi, we were telling people that copper burning is a source of air pollution. But they were saying, yes, it is true, but it is our source of income, which is a way for us as civil society and different partners. How can we support these people to give them different livelihoods such that they are able to live these other things that are very generous to their lives? But also media creates demand through our engagements online. We have received messages from different community members that are very passionate about the work we have done, but also operational resilience matters, especially when we started working on this project in October. Schools were very busy and they had a busy schedule, but it was on our side to find ways of how we can fix ourselves within those busy schedules to implement next. Some of the recommendations we came up with is for the community members. We have different representatives here. It is very key to stop open burning, especially for the households and textiles, and for the local leaders to find ways of how they can work with different garbage collectors such that we reduce burning that garbage. But also we need to continue telling our communities to store agrochemicals safely. And again, for the local leaders that are here today, it is very key for you as you agreed to continue enforcing the no burning rules within your areas, and also publicize simple reporting channels where they can report such acts, and also regular community barazas to continuously create awareness to different community members. For the schools, the different staff and administration to keep the green clubs that we created within those schools active, to carry on the messages of no air pollution and no misuse of agrochemicals. And for NEMA and KCCA, as our beloved partners, is to strengthen the laws that exist against open burning and against the improper use of agrochemicals, but also to create awareness on clear and simple guidance endorsing safe agrochemical use and storage for the vendors that are within Chisenyi and the communities at large. But also it is very key for us as partners, each in our different capacities, to scale this program within other areas, not only in Chiseni and not only in Kampala, but other parts of Uganda because it's needed urgently. Next. Sustainability, as we went through it, we strengthened school environmental clubs, each with 25 members. We believe they will continue the work we have done. The IEC materials we have shared within the schools and also the school signposts that we did. Mass media outreach for us as an organization. We are continuing to post messages on reducing air pollution every day on our different platforms, but also integrating environmental messages into school extracurricular activities is one of the things that will continue to push these messages forward, and scaling of the programs to other communities. I think that was all from Equal Lives Foundation. Thank you so much for listening.
The smiles that you see are contagious, and I see them.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Equal Lives Foundation. I believe colleagues are writing down something we are learning together, but also moving forward together. So let us put our hands together for Hands of Hope initiative as we come to take us through also the key segments on waste management. Please let us welcome them until they come to the podium. Sophie and Kenya, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Sophie Kenya, and I work with Hands of Hope Initiative. And as Hands of Hope, we are saying we are rising above waste, and we are rethinking pollution management in Kawempe. Thank you so much. Those are our partners. I won't repeat because the previous presenter has already done that. Hands of Hope Initiative is a youth-led and youth-focused community-based organization focused on addressing social and environmental challenges. Our mission is to promote sustainable development and equity among young people through mentorship, economic empowerment, and sensitization. We envision a community where young people are healthy, wealthy, and empowered. Pollution management. So we are rooted in the community. Like I shared, we are a community-based organization. We bridge the gap between citizens and the government, as you will see in the presentation. We've worked well with especially KCCA, Kawempe Division. We ensure that the marginalized populations are included in our work, but also promote citizen participation and accountability. So Hands of Hope has been implementing the components of solid waste management as well as water pollution. Yes. And in regard to solid waste management,
the second.
I continue.
Yes, yes, okay.
No. So in regard to solid waste, I know the next slide has statistics, so I don't want to make errors.
Okay, just a second. Because we have online audience, I'm trying to share with them. Yeah. So, my apologies. This one, the first. Thank you for your question.
It's coming.
Yes, there you go.
Kampala generates over 2,000 to 2,000 tons of waste per day, but only 50% can be collected properly and disposed of properly. In Kawempe alone, 576 tons of waste are generated, yet only 109 tons can be collected per day. And the situation is worsened by the growing population, which grows at a rate of 5.5% annually. And this waste creates breeding grounds for diseases like malaria and cholera. So water flow drainage systems also cause severe flooding and infrastructure damages. As you've seen around Kampala when it rains, we have issues with flooding. This picture was captured in Kawete. Yeah, so as I was saying, this is one of the pictures that we took in Kawete division, YADNET, where we implement. Next. When it comes to water pollution, water quality in Uganda is quite worrying. And when we talk about water quality, we are talking about both ground and surface water. The wells, where the water collection points where people collect water. And then we see that on-site sanitation systems such as pit latrines, combined with a high water table and frequent flooding, contribute to frequent contamination of both ground and surface water. And when it rains, the chemicals and fertilizers used on farms are washed away in the nearby water. But also some industries pour dirty leftover water into trenches, which ends up in rivers and lakes. And you know, Kawete division, it has many industries. Many of them, I want to mention them, but most of you know, or you can Google. Yeah. So sadly, about 50,000 children under the age of 5 die every day because of unsafe water and poor hygiene. And over 70% of the diseases treated in Uganda, and in this, we are talking about cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, are linked to poor water and sanitation. So when we're implementing this project, we also focus on the gender equality and disability and social inclusion. And the project, overall, in the 6 months, we managed to reach 1,129. Can you please go for us? Yeah, so we managed to reach 1,000. These are directly engaged. For the indirect, the M&D will tell us, but those are the numbers we reached, and in this we mean 670 females and 490 and 59 males, plus 12 persons with disabilities. We noted strong female engagement. As you know, women are closer to nature. Yes. When we did our door-to-door sensitizations, as you will see in our presentation, we noted that when we went to the public spaces, the shops, and so on, there were more men. Yeah, because maybe of the breadwinning role, but when we went into households, we found more women than the men. Yeah, so the youth participation in this program was exceptionally high, but that is not surprising. 78% of the population is below the age of 30. And when it came to disability inclusion, we did engage persons with disabilities. However, like you noted, the number is 12. Many of them could not be reached. They were there, but there's a way communities would hide them. So whenever we would go ask if you know there's a person with a disability, they would not tell us, or they would hide, or they would, somehow pretend they don't exist. Yeah, so next slide, please. So these are some of our achievements. We did like this, like my other presenters alluded, this is a community awareness campaign. We did a lot of community awareness, and in this we did door-to-door. It was quite I actually participated in this personally, and I was amazed by the responses we got in the communities. I wish NEMA and KCCA, you also engage in those door-to-door conversations. It was quite intense. Yeah, so intense in that the responses we got, we had very many active members. People were concerned on why people still cook using polythene bags, and yet, they contact, we can get sick. And that is the food we eat in restaurants around. So they were very disturbed by that. We also did a lot of, sorry, not a lot, but we did 2 waste segregation demonstrations. One was in a taxi park. YADNET has a taxi park. And we were amazed because they had a huge, I would say, an area where they would just throw waste, but we went with a solid waste manager from Kawempe division. So he trained them, told them how to sort waste. and also are committed to ensuring that in case the waste is sorted, KCCA will come and get it from there and buy it from them, by the way. Yeah, so we also did engage youth, women, and children in school, just like Equalize. We did school debates as well, where we found out the very interesting, these youths, I don't know whether it's AI or use of internet, but there's a way they really, I would say it is not mother is better than father. The conversations are quite deep, especially when it comes to environment and issues to do with waste. So we did advocacy, and when it came to advocacy, we engaged, why am I speaking KCCA? We are a community-based organization. So we're working so close. We did roundtable discussions with stakeholders at KCCA Kawempe Division. We engaged waste management companies, we engaged religious leaders, cultural leaders, and the conversations were, there's a way Ugandans are receptive. I don't know whether it is us as Ugandans, but they did receive the information very well. And with the saga that happened in Chitezi, no one wanted to have it again. So we came up with an action plan that all stakeholders committed to follow. And we did mobilize communities in community cleanups. And this has been the day-to-day now of Bwaise Nabukalu zone, because the water collection points, the well, where they collect water, people in Bwaise, to just give you a snapshot, I know many of you know, but these are people that are struggling with, financially, and then the structures, the informal settlements there. There's a lot of, theft and other prostitution and so on. So that water, for them, they don't have the luxury of buying water and buying it on a tap. When they have a water collection point, and the area is quite swampy, so it means that they can get water easily. So they wash from the well, the border borders come, they do the chemical people will tell us, when you mix all that with all those chemicals that come from the border borders, the oils and so on. But we did carry out sensitization, and when we went back after our activity, after the 6 months, we were amazed at how clean the place was and how the defense was so keen on ensuring no one dumps in that area again. So it showed us that, when you do that mobilization and community awareness, people take action. And next slide, please. So one of the key highlights for us was the small stakeholder engagement that we had on solid waste management together with Kampala Capital City Authority. We came up with a community resolution. Please clap for us. For 6 months, we came up with a community that was, you see, this is, for those that do not see, it was stamped by the area chairperson of Nabukalu zone, but received by the town clerk. Received by the town clerk, Kawempe division. For us, it is big, we're a community-based organization. Yes, yeah, so it was received by the town clerk, and they committed to ensure that all those resolutions that we came up with are going to be put in place. Yeah, and they do not, like I said, the emphasis was we do not want to see what happened in Chitezi happen again in Kawempe. Next, so these are the community voices. We see a youth leader in Bwaise saying that I decided to start using a cloth bag instead of a polythene bag so that I can reduce on the amount of plastics I produce every day. And this is one, you can only imagine the groups that are now changing perspectives. This one is saying, youth leader still is saying, after the training, I began sorting my waste at home to reduce the amount of garbage that is mixed and properly and poorly disposed of. Yeah, so people are really starting to sort their waste. But also, a chapati vendor in Chitezi said that we've started working together with waste collection companies and community members to improve waste collection and management in the area. Next slide. So those are some. So in the lessons learned, we are saying that stories move hearts, but data moves policy. Yeah. So we when we come in the communities, for us that work in the communities, there's a lot of stories. But if these stories are not backed up with data, then we will not have sustainability. Yes, because if the data is there, it means that we are going to have probably a document that we shall even use to probably lobby for another project. But if we do not have data and we have only the narratives, then sustainability cannot happen. And then another lesson we learned is the social norms remain the most significant challenge to full disability inclusion in the environmental programs. So we've seen that, like I earlier alluded, we have an issue of social norms. That probably this, we may not delve deeper into it, but I know we have different stakeholders. This is something that can prevent us from reaching that the targets, because I mean, SDGs aim at not leaving, anyone behind. So if you are to ensure that no one is left behind, we ought to ensure that social norms are also tackled. Another lesson learned is that strong local leadership supports and enhances participation. We had strong leadership in Boise, especially where we were implementing. The local leaders really supported us. They welcomed the program, they moved with us, they mobilized, when we came to training of youth ambassadors, they were there, they were like, no, we want even this committee of ours to be trained. So it shows that if we get that community leader, the local leadership buy-in, then you are able to, change the narrative. But also practical demonstrations are more effective than theory alone. So usually what CSOs do is that we do trainings, but for us in the communities, people do not want you to come and speak to them. They want the practice. Equalize showed us that they used the art. For us, we came, we demonstrated, we told them that, if you're to sort waste, this is how you're supposed to sort it. We didn't show them pictures. We brought real life examples to them. So this enabled them do the waste sorting, like I shared in one of the voices in the community. But also, if you involve the community, it improves ownership. I earlier alluded that on the well where they were washing clothes, dumping every, rubbish from, it is now cleaner. The communities are the ones, besides the defense, the community is also doing enforcement. You've seen it with I know KCCA came out and said that they are not the ones forcing people to dig. But there is a way I walked carefully yesterday, knowing that if someone catches me stepping in grass, I will dig. Yes, so you see, and the people who are forcing these people to dig are the communities themselves, like people around. They see them like, you people, this person should dig. You see it? So even where we were implementing it was the same. So if you create that community ownership, people will do the enforcement for you. Yes, so another lesson learned is that we should make pollution more expensive and protection profitable. So there's the solid waste manager of KCCA, I would quote his words. He said that God cannot give you teeth and also give you toothpaste to brush your teeth, as we were in voice. Because people are like, now you see, we KCCA, you people, you should come collect our garbage. We're like, can you collect, like how? In your, you sort it, we shall come and collect it. Yes, so if, and he was, people be like, oh, those things. You're the government, for us, where do we benefit from? So we are saying we are making it profitable for them. KCCA was like, we're going to buy your waste. You sort it and see. Yes. So that was a lesson learned, and we saw how people were very interested in buying. Now we are going to make. They wanted to make another community-based organization within hours when we talked about money. Yeah. So when it comes to sustainability, we've created partnerships. Partnerships with local leaders, partnerships with religious leaders, cultural leaders within the community where we work. So it means that KCCA now is obliged. They cannot run away from the people from YC. They are obliged to ensure that they work with them. So we've been implementing budgets that I've talked about. And this has helped us foster inclusivity and ensuring no one is left behind. And also, the project moved beyond simply reporting illegal dumping to creating community action. You know what people do is that when they see you dumping, they'll be like, hey, you're not going to power chairman, you know those things. And I'll report you to the chairman. Eh? Yeah, so now for us, we are not even reporting anyone to the chairman. It's community-led action. Yeah. So we are another sustainability measure is we did policy advocacy, and we've been doing joint monitoring, which even beyond the program, the 6 months, we're able to ensure that those actions proceed. So in the recommendations to government, and this we mean NEMA, KCCA, and Ministry of Health, as well as Ministry of Education, we are saying that we need intentional investment in environmental curriculum for schools. We know that there is a new curriculum, and we know that as Equalize shared earlier, that there's a lot that is done when it comes to, environment. And let us be intentional. Let us put money in it. If a program doesn't have money, there's a way it comes neglected. Yeah. Yes, so we also, in the recommendations, we are calling upon especially KCCA and other government entities to provide green grants for CBOs like us, because we believe that there are many grants, youth grants, yoga. Why not have a green grant? I've not heard of that. Maybe it's there. I think we should really, for those that meet the president, please help us ensure that we lobby for green grants instead of, yes, so that we protect our environment. And then for civil society organizations, let's go beyond the watchdog role. Let's do collaborative monitoring with entities like NEMA, with KCCA, and other, we have even other civil society organizations, because let us not work in isolation. Then I know we don't have international agencies, but for those that are online listening, please, we need long-term, flexible funding. Yeah, because our needs are different and they are unique. So we need long-term flexible funding for both NGOs, CBOs, and CSOs. And for all individuals in this room, please let us turn from polluters to protectors.
Thank you so much. Another hand clap to hands of God. You feel like you're in dancing. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here at what? Amicus location. Yes. So thank you so much. As CSOs, we're moving forward, and we have one other very dear colleague of ours, and Peter, this comes to you. Peter got a very strong glimpse from your gala representation, and he's now yearning for more. Let us welcome Andrew from ANI Climate and Fusion Network. Please, a warm welcome to Andrew as he takes us through what the BBT. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
That was a check. My name is Andrew Emor. I'm a team lead at ANI Climate Fusion Network. We've been implementing a campaign on heavy metal awareness within Kampala, and I would love to take you briefly through what we have found out in the field. So ANI Climate Inclusion Network is a locally rooted organization, but we believe we are globally formed. We are located in Mukono, along Nachisunga, and the work that we do implement environmental health. We do implement access to clean energy. We do implement also different other training programs, most especially with teachers, for example, the Green Teachers Ambassadors Program. But also as an organization, we are into policy advocacy among the few. Now, the work that we do around persons living with disabilities, it also entails around the women, most especially, and also not forgetting the youth, because we believe these are the people that deserve to be prioritized the most. Now, our emphasis is so much on the GC, and that is the gender, disability, and social inclusion aspect. As prioritize that as an organization so deeply. So our vision as an organization is to pioneer a collective solution where no one is left behind. Our mission as an organization still is to empower the marginalized communities, like earlier on broke down, the women, the persons with disabilities, among a few. We want to empower them for inclusive climate action and equitable participation in all aspects of climate change. So I would request that we proceed further away from that. So, as an organization, what has been our role in this campaign? But before I go there, I would love to give our funders, that is the UK government. It's on, sorry. That is the UK government under the Department of Environment, Rural Affairs, and then the partners, the GAP and YADNET, NEMA among a few. So great appreciation goes to you all. So our role in this program, YADNET Climate Inclusion Network has been a lead CSO that is implementing a heavy metal awareness campaign within Kampala under the EPP program that we are disseminating today. But in this specifically, we've been designing and delivering we've been designing and delivering awareness sessions, awareness campaigns in communities and schools, but also we've also been bridging other voices of the young people in the communities we're working in. In all this that we do, we are trying to provide evidence, we are trying to provide what the people in the field are saying, what the people in the field are witnessing, so that we can inform policy advocacy that I earlier on spoke about. So, throughout our work within the communities and schools, what have we been focusing on? What has been our implementation strategy? So, next slide. It's well. Our strategy earlier on, like I said, has been community-rooted, school-based, and also media-based. But what we have been doing, the lead and Mercury campaign, we have been implementing it in areas of Katwe and areas of Nakawa, because we want to believe that in Katwe it is a hotspot for many of the industrial activities, many of the metal fabrication, a lot of recycling of batteries that use lead acid batteries is happening there, and also coupled to the dense population within the area. So Katwe is a hotspot that we identified within Kampala, and also Nakawa being an industrial zone that highly emits waste. Also within Nakawa, we've seen heightened levels of e-waste that are being dumped. So that is why we picked interest within these two communities. But one may ask themselves, why are we running a lead and mercury campaign? We want to believe that lead right now within Kampala is a silent toxin. It is a silent killer that we have in our homes, in our schools, in each and everything that we use. And mercury, not to forget, it is in everything that we almost use as well. So these have been a point of interest as an organization, because of the dire repercussions and implications that come with it. When I break down the health impacts of this lead and mercury, we find out that the lead, based on research and evidence, it is causing brain damages, most especially within children. It's leading to lowered IQ. It is leading to anemia and even reproductive issues within men and also women. So, reflecting on the report coming from our World Health Organization that was implemented in 2024, it is evident that close to 1.5 million deaths happened in 2021, but this is attributed to lead poisoning. So, still within this, we have different reports that come in from science-based bodies. It is found out that close to 600,000 children have intellectual disabilities globally, and this is still attributed to lead exposure. Also, within 3 children that you meet, at least one of them have heightened levels of lead, ranging to not less than 5 micrograms per deciliter. So this is an issue that we really had to prioritize within our campaign. that pushing forth lead awareness and market awareness? Can we make the public aware of these? Can they be informed of the different health impacts that they're facing, that their children are exposed to? But also, this is not the only case. Mercury, like I say, that comes from the fertilizer we use, the cosmetics, coming from the mining sites of gold. These things still come back and affect us. They're affecting they're affecting the kidneys, most especially this mercury leads to damage to the organs, body organs, but also development in unborn babies. So it is somehow delayed. And then the people that are affected so much from lead and mercury, we want to believe, based on science, that children and women and persons living with disabilities are the most affected. Now, colleagues, you allow me to proceed ahead. Let's go to the next slide. Earlier when I spoke about our interventions being community-centered, school engagements, targeted sessions, and public advocacy and media. So you allow me to proceed ahead. I'll break them down. So these are a couple of the activities we've done, around 12 activities we've implemented within our 6 months in the communities. I will break them down on the results part. So let's move forward. So to begin with, the community awareness sessions that we did in October. We firstly began with an online session during the International Lead Prevention Week in 2025 October. And in there, we ran campaigns online on social media, for example, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, among a few. But then throughout our campaign, during the International Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, we reached a number of close to 1,795 people through our social media platforms. And we realized that there was great improve in the knowledge in regards to lead and mercury, in regards to lead poisoning specifically. But also to summarize this campaign that was running online, we had a physical workshop within Luzira. And this physical workshop happened in an area of Mambo Bado Zone. For those that know there, we had close to 75 participants in that physical workshop. And what we found out from there is that by the time we were finishing the physical workshop in Luzira, Mambo Bado Zone in October, close to 60 people were in position to list at least 3 methods or ways to prevent lead exposure. So we want to believe that this was great success within that area, and following other assessments that the M&E took up within this specific area, they found out that the knowledge was greatly improved within there, and they also found out that people have also moved ahead to take action. To be more specific, the LC1 of Luzira in Mambo Bado Zone committed to push this and escalate it to different local government bodies to see that they work as a whole to address the issue of waste collection within an area that they believe partly is also leading to exposure to lead. So this was something great within the community, and because of that commitment of the LC1 in Luzira, we want to believe that this escalated and also brought policy attention within the leaders in Luzira. So moving on from the lead prevention week, we had other campaigns that were specifically school-based. Now in school-based, we had 3 schools throughout our campaign. Number 1, we had Chireka High, most of us know it. We had Kansanga SS and Tropical High School within Matching Division. And in this, we had a target to reach out close to 500 students within the 3 schools to raise awareness about lead, to raise awareness about mercury pollution. Now, within this, throughout our months of operation, we realized that close to 530 students were impacted directly by our campaigns within their schools. But what does this communicate to us? What does this yield at the end of the day? This yielded that youth empowerment with prevention. Let's move on further. This yielded to us and also to the entire school fraternity that the young people they're empowered, they're in position to push for this message even beyond that. And how was this measured? This was measured through different interactions that we had with the students and also the teachers in our progressive meetings in there. But within the school-based campaigns that we implemented, we had the privilege and the honor to establish 3 clubs within the schools, and these clubs are called lead detective clubs. We want to believe that this was a sustainability strategy to have the project run within the schools. Now, in these clubs within the 3 schools, we had a number of 251 students and 6 teachers onboarded directly into the club. So they will be pushing forward activities within there. But still within this, an approximate number of 397 participants out of the 530 committed to peer-led action within their schools. We had students, for example, in Chireka High School, many of them were committing themselves to push forward the message to other colleagues who weren't around, because throughout this implementation, it was a very busy time within the school calendar. Most of them were in classes for examinations, here and there, up and down. So they committed to push the message even beyond that awareness campaign that we had with them. So the impact of this is that student-led prevention platform is something that is sustainable, and it is something that we need to push forward even away from this. Now, from the school-based campaigns, we also move forward to the community dialogues that we had. We had a session in Naguru. If you know Naguru, go down, it's a slum, and within there we focused in a village called Bank Village. So within Bank Village, we had a panel discussion. We had an expert come in and talk to the people there, the locals in there. And in participation, we had close to 66 people. And from this, 64 participants at least identified not less than 2 safe practices of how they can keep themselves as safe from lead and mercury exposure. But also within the same community, like you'll see in progressive photos ahead, we had 3 community action commitments that were generated within the communities. And this was spearheaded by the LC1 chairperson, Mr. Omut. So in this community, after this dialogue, we realized that the impact of this dialogue was there was strengthened community ownership. For example, when I dwell back to the commitment that the LC1 put forward, and everyone seconded it, and they agreed to push forward with the commitment, this was a strong belief in us that the community has decided to own this campaign even without our stay there. So after the activity in Nakuru, we proceeded further to public sensitization, and this sensitization directly aimed at raising awareness on lead and mercury in cosmetics. We implemented this in Acholi Quarter. Most of us know Acholi Quarter, an area that is inhabited by people that are affected by the LRA war. And in there, we targeted people that deal in cosmetics. We targeted salon operators, and most especially women. So they were part of the public sensitization. We had a panel discussion, still we had an expert join in there, and they raised awareness with them. Now in this, we had close to 63 people in participation, and 40 of them, we realized that we achieved something great from the public sensitization, because 40 out of the 63 were in position to identify at least 3 harmful effects of using cosmetics that have lead and mercury in them. So this has improved over time consumer awareness on the risks of heavy metals in the products that they use at home. So this is great success. I'll ask that the IT person proceeds ahead. So moving away from the community dialogues and all that, the public sensitization, as an intervention, we moved forward to what we call an occupational visit. That was the garage talks. We had 2 interactive garage talks, but this was engaging mechanics. It was engaging garage operators. It was engaging women and people who work within and close to the garages. And we had this run in areas of Katwe and Endeavour within December. And in total, we had close to 57 people that participated in the garage talks. Now, in the garage talks, you will see the evidence in there. Yet after that, we had people that committed themselves to some safe practices within their area of work, and there were 57 of them. That was 100% an achievement in there. But also 40 were in position to identify the risks of heavy metal pollution. This shows us that the work we are doing there, people are really appreciating it, people are taking in the knowledge, and it's not going out in vain. So over time, this has created strong occupational behavior shift. Because, for example, in Endeavour, we had one of the owners of the garages sign, like you will see still, and he signed to some actions that they're going to implement within the garage and even at their homes. So after the garage talks, we proceeded with mass media outreaches. We had 2 interactive sessions, talk shows on TV, and also 2 sessions on radio, where we had a very high reach to the people. We had those 2,500 plus social media impressions. That is how far our message has reached, how far the message of heavy metal pollution has reached. So this has expanded visibility on our project that we've been doing within the 6 months, and so many other people have indirectly benefited from heavy metal awareness campaign that we're implementing in Kampala. So lastly, we had a schools awareness education on heavy metal, and this was a competition that we had in schools to have students brainstorm, to have students critically think, to have students communicate what they understand by heavy metals. And we had a great success in that. So I would love to close the chapter of the key results and proceed ahead. Oh, as I'm forgetting, there was also webinars that we implemented. We had 2 webinars, and the first one was webinar on lead exposure and public health. Then the second one, we had a webinar also on mercury exposure and public health. It is my privilege and honor to announce that within this building, we have some people who joined us as guest speakers and experts. For example, Dr. Obubu from Ministry of Water. We love to appreciate you for the knowledge that you extended in such a webinar. We're also joined by Arthur, the Executive Director of IA. Thank you so very much for dispatching knowledge in our webinars. Then Dr. Chaye, who isn't here, but he was in position to join us for our webinar on lead exposure and public health. Warm appreciation to him and the NEMA team. Now, leaving the successes around, I want to take us through the community voices that we had in there. Because what is it if we implement and we do not have feedback from the community? So, within the community of Nakuru, go down, Bank Village specifically, we had a voice coming in there, and consequently some of the videos. Now, Mr. Onyut Dennis, who is the LC1 chairperson, and I'll read what he said without twisting any word. So, Mr. Onyut said, I want to thank these young men and women who are laboring to bring such important knowledge to our community. Our children have been collecting scrap to earn a living, and I didn't know they are being exposed to lead and mercury. We have now understood the dangers of lead and mercury. Okay, I think I'll use my voice. We have now understood the dangers of lead and mercury pollution, and that our children's health is something we must protect jealously. Together as a community, we request that we continue teaching these lessons to our neighbors and other people. In the spirit of that statement, I want to believe that he was trying to push the message even beyond the physical participants there. That this which you have learned, that the health of the children are at a danger, are at a stake. Can we push forward the message beyond this? Right. So that was a community voiced by the LC1 chairperson of Bank Village. but also to move forward within an area of short water. We had our Chango Teddy, who was a participant in there, and I'll read what Teddy said. Teddy noted that some women in their community constantly apply lipstick every day. She also went ahead and noted that she is planning to target these fellow community members who have not been part of the sensitization that we implemented. What is she going to do there? She's going to inform them of the dangers of heavy metal exposure through cosmetics such as lipstick. Now, in this session, they came to appreciate that not all lipstick is harmful, but specific brands or specific types of lipstick, for example, those that are not authorized and those that do not bear maybe minimum standards coming in from UNPS. Not all types of lipstick are harmful. So that was a voice coming in from Teddy, and she also committed to go ahead in her savings group to push forward the message of heavy metal exposure in cosmetics. So what have we learned as an organization throughout our implementation? We've learned lots of 5 things. Number 1, we learned and appreciated that schools are a powerful entry point for each and every project that you may have to do. So we appreciated that youth platforms drive peer-to-peer kind of influence, and we saw this evident in Chireka High, where the students committed to push forward the message beyond their classes and beyond the participants who are available. Also, as an organization, we learned that when we link policy with the voices, the lived realities, the experiences that people are having, once we intersect the two, then that builds confidence within the participants, builds confidence within the target communities. And also, to add on, we appreciated and learned after the 5 months that inclusion strengthens the reach of our project, and it gives it more relevance and impact. So, second last, we also learned that participatory dialogues drive behavior change. Like we saw the garage dogs, we had the garage owners in there commit, sign, declare to a change in behavior within their working space and even of the garages. And then lastly, we learned that one of our sensitization or community dialogues aren't sufficient enough. And what are we trying to call for? That we have continuous engagements, like we're going to see in our recommendation. So what are we recommending as an organization after months of implementation in the communities? One, we want to recommend that we need to strengthen evidence-based action in heavy metal pollution. This is being drawn from the fact that in some communities, people kept on asking us that how can we get to know that we are having heavy metals in our communities or the places that we work with. So we want to believe that for us to address this, we need to strengthen evidence-based action. True, we are going there to implement awareness, but also can we push forward for different ways of collecting evidences from the communities. For example, soil sampling. For example, carrying out blood level tests on lead for the members within the community. So this would strengthen the work that we do, and it also create that trust within the people we are implementing in. And also, we recommend that we need to strengthen and also we need to structure some safety measures. For example, the occupational visits that we had, like in garages, where people committed to certain behavior changes. We want to see that we have periodic follow-up visits within these areas. To do what? To monitor the compliance for the different commitments that they had. For example, safe waste collection mechanisms that they committed to. Also, as I move forward, we want to see that as we move on with the campaigns, can we invest more? Can we institutionalize the school-based environmental health programs like this we've had? Can we make it part of the school curriculum? So that would be something very, very sustainable and impactful. But also to conclude, and also have structured follow-up surveys within the communities for implementation, even way beyond the project cycle, not only within the 6 months. When I get to the sustainability plan of a 9 climate inclusion network, in our operation, we established school clubs. We also established some community champions, focal persons within the communities we have implemented in. And we want to believe that these are going to lead peer-led awareness campaigns, and they're going to push forward the message of heavy metal awareness even beyond their circles. So we secondly want to see that engagements within the leaders and the schools continue. That this is not only a one-off campaign, but the networks we build in the schools, within the leaders in local communities, and also some CSOs that we work with, for example, MNISADA and Leading Back Hub, can we continue pushing forward this message into their day-to-day operations? So that is a sustainability plan that we have. And finally, the teachers that we onboarded and the youth leaders, the targeted persons we had in the cosmetic talks, the garage operators we had as well. We want to believe that these are going to be local resources in the communities of our implementation, and the knowledge is going to be transferred from generation to generation. It's going to be transferred to their homes and different other communities. And this is going to lead to behavior change. These are our references, but as I conclude, I would love to ask something from each and every one of you that is listening to me here. What I'm asking for is not words, but it is an act of action. If truly you've been listening to me, if truly you believe that no child deserves a future that is leading to death, if you believe that no child deserves a future full of poison, if also you believe that every child deserves to have a life free from pollution, free from poison, free from intellectual disorders, a life that is not being robbed of from the basic things that we can prevent. For example, the cosmetics we use. For example, the contaminated soils they play in. If also, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to me and you believe that the responsibility to protect our children is not any other person's responsibility, but your own responsibility, I would ask one thing, that you kindly stand up with me. Thank you so much. You may take your seats. For those of you that have stood up, I want to believe that that wasn't just a symbolic action. That wasn't a symbolic action, but this has been a declaration together with me and Anai Climate Inclusion Network and all other partners, that the time for action is now. This is the time to implement action. There is no other better time than now. So I would love to ask that each and every one of you, please push forward the message to the community members that haven't been part of this, to our different circles of influence. So as I conclude, I want to believe that there is no safe levels because this has already been found out, and we need to prioritize heavy metal pollution awareness within our communities. Thank you so much for listening to me.
To remind you, this is an awareness campaign. Even now, there's a lot of awareness going on, right? Yes. Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much again. Exactly. I'm right, all right? So thank you so much, different organizations, for such a very powerful journey that you have taken us through, all the way from Kisenyi, Bwaise, and now, through all the lead and mercury pollution that we have learned. And I just have a way to know if we have been following closely. And you are going to do this once you believe in these statements. You are going to stand up if you know that pollution-based challenges have strong economic implications. If you believe that pollution-based challenges have strong economic implications. Okay. So Raymond, you can see some people don't believe the things that you're doing. So you're just talking that these things don't cost us anything in Uganda to some people. Okay, let's clap for ourselves. Look at me, right? If everything we have been talking about is only about air pollution, just keep standing. If everything we are talking about is only about air pollution, Raymond, you can see. I tell you, people think that this campaign is only about air pollution. You know, lastly but not least, you've got to sit down. If only governments and institutions can take action on pollution challenges. Just keep seated. Raymond, you can see. It is only the doctor thinks. It's only government and she really thinks. So it is an awareness campaign. Colleagues who are still thinking that way. I know those people are not here. They are seated in our homes. They are seated in our institutions. They still believe it's only government and it's only institutions. You can now all have your seat if you're listening to me. Yes, thank you so much. And I want us to also summarize this statement. We have had 4 presenters this morning, and it's been YADNET, it's been Equalize Foundation, it's been an Eye Inclusion Network, and Hands of Hope Initiative. Now, this one now is a competition, this side and the other side. The one that we need to just wait for the gift that is going to await you. If you know that this statement is synonymous to that particular organization, you put up the hand. Or you tell us which organization is synonymous to this statement. Door-to-door pollution in YZ. Oh, yes, he got it right. Let's clap for him. This side has 1 point so far. Artistic impressions on murals in schools.
Yeah.
Who was it?
And the Batelka.
No, he knows. He's equalized.
Excuse me, excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
I think we could have had the rules of the game.
Yes.
Imagine,
Sorry, I can't
imagine the people who are taking exams are also the candidates.
But it's not, that's why I gave him the point. It's not even in any of the organizations. But thank you for that guidance. It's a procedural government guidance. And the last one is garage talk. Garage talk, synonymous to Anai. Yes, you got it right. Let's clap for her. She was very attentive. 48 organizations are members of this organization. Which organization is that? No. YADNET. Yes, let's clap for her. Let's clap for her because she's not in YADNET. So let us give it up for all these organizations. Let's give a warm hand clap for them for they have just given us. It's getting warmer, isn't it? I think we're getting closer to the end of it. We're moving together. I have now confirmed that people were sitting, were worrying me, but eventually everyone stood up that it's not only government and institutions. Now we're moving forward, and this is how we are going forward. We have questions that probably you have been wanting to inquire as we have moved since morning. We're going to give 5 minutes to an interactive plenary for you to interact with us. And then taking us through the legal framework and how they are doing their work in Kampala besides that don't stay on the grass that you know. And then we'll be tending towards as we move forward. Right now, if you have questions, additions, things that can shape our way forward, this is a minute, and we have just 5 minutes for that. So feel free to put up your hand. I'll have the rapporteur just write down the questions, and you can be clear if it is a question who and two, and if it's the way forward, you can still let us know if that goes to all of us and map out the timing. Thank you, thank you. We will have 4 Okay, 5 and fast.
Thank you. My name is Zoyana Franco from the Department of Justice and Health. Mine is not a question.
Yeah.
But it was an observation. It a bit teased me from the first presentation when they say, I think the presenter put it in a way that was equaling the regulators. When he says that they are saying the regulators are doing nothing on the balance for the control is concerned. What I want to put across is that let us be careful with it. We know the people we are dealing with. So we should be able to interpret, because this war we have started together as a team. Maybe literally you have just joined, but the regulators have always been there. They are making decisions. What I want just to say that let us change our mindset. Let's work as a team as we go forward.
Thank you so much. That is really warmly appreciated.
Yes.
Yes.
The first one was to oppose the handle actually, and the population we are targeting. I think we go beyond the poor who are using, who are unaware of these disabilities, different people, legislators, legislators, people in the corporate class, and others. I think the target should also include some of those. Because even how do you look at them? They are going to take out this. But how do you differentiate the genuine invited commerce from the one which has mercury and the other that is right? The other question she mentioned that data was where is that data? Where can you find it? I know this was present, but still, can we be pointed to help us that some of these investment and things like that. The other one, this was she was talking about what leaders, KCC, but once KCC and them are watching, how do they measure this? How do we know we are doing better? How do you measure change? That's not something much. Otherwise,
thank you so much. We will get, we have others, 1, 2, and 3. So we'll have 5, and then we'll have our colleagues come in front already where they are and respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm Dr. Richard Kovacic, the Principal Research and Innovations Officer at NEMA. It is a pleasure for me to be here. Sorry that I walked in late, but maybe I might repeat what others have already said. But one thing on the issue of open burning, especially domestic solid waste, and to all of us to stop immediately open burning. It can lead to you spending some nights in Buzira if you are found doing that. And I think that's a message which is very strong, and it goes a long way to support the findings that has been presented by some presenters. And I think that is a commendable work. Now, another thing is you see, when Hands of Hope started presenting, I had to check online to see who are these people who was doing fantastic work like this. But again, it took me to another organization called Hands for Hope. I don't know the difference between the two. There's Hands of Hope, and then Hands for Hope. So I don't know how the two organizations tend to maybe distinguish themselves, especially online. Maybe they need to take it up so that people do not confuse the two of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't find Hands of Hope, but there is Hands for Hope. So maybe they need to brand themselves more. I needed just to bring that up. But there is work that is being done by Hands of Hope that is on sorting of waste. We know that one of the biggest problems, NEMA, they work together with many municipalities. They run these centers of clean development mechanism, where waste is taken and from there it can be converted, especially the can be converted in. Here's the problem is that the waste which is taken there is not the one which is unsorted, and it causes a big problem for these people who are working in these clean development mechanism centers. What I wanted to know from them is that since they have been talking to the communities to sort their waste, what happens after the waste has been sorted at the household? Because I know there are a number of players along the value chain of that, including those homes. We sometimes have a feeling that they even mix the waste which has been sorted by this home at the household level. So maybe they can help us understand how is that waste which is sorted handled from where they are sorted from to maybe where they are supposed to be taken in these downsides. What happens along the way? Maybe that will help us also very much as a country going forward. And then maybe another thing that I also wanted to point out is I saw in the presentation the use of pictures of very many minors. What's the implication of that? Because we know that some of these reports move out of the country and all that. We do not know how some of these reports are there for use thereafter. Sometimes we need to be careful when using the minor because it may backfire at the end of the day. Maybe the presenters can help us also understand that, because we don't want to find ourselves in again a very difficult position after a very good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was highly supplementary, but also inquisitive. So we'll have two other questions, and then I'll call back my presenters here with each 1 or 2 minutes to respond to the different inquiries.
Thank you so much. And mine are also not questions. My name is Esther Laventa from Private Sector Foundation, Uganda. One is to appreciate the good work done by all the entities that have presented. And I've actually liked the issue of community ownership. It is really a sustainable strategy that can help us to work on the issue of pollution. However, my concern is still on coverage in Kampala. But still, I think there are some areas that we haven't reached because of the resources. But I believe we can also use some of the platforms that we have to ensure that we do more sensitization on the issue of pollution. So, for example, I've just had a thought of the president groups, can I call them constituencies? Divisions, yes, thank you. So if we could use them so that we do awareness within those, I think that can also help us, because At least it is win-win to the government and then to us as the private sector as well as the civil society. Two, on the issue of community ownership, I would request the House to also do a lot of private sector ownership. Because if the private sector is involved in awareness and advocating for elimination of pollution, I think it will drive us mileage. I submit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much already. It's giving us the way forward in there and also introducing the polluter phase.
I want to thank everyone for this meeting. Oh, and as well as from the Alliance, as well as the I have a few questions. I want to thank all those that have been able to present. I just have a few concerns. One goes to Equalize Foundation. As I mentioned, I come from Canada. I do retire. Understand we materials should pay more in the platforms to give out information digital. Then you also mentioned something to do with a bylaw that came out from your campaign. Can you guys help us take us through the details of bylaws that we are aware of bylaw in the constituency? And then the other goes to Kofi and Hands of Hope. You talked about this and good work. You talked about door-to-door campaign. I'm wondering if how best you can maybe reflect some other platforms like community radios, and maybe go further. So they, as they're doing their services, they try to mention some of this work in their services. Also, those traditional healers, these are platforms that you can use. They also mentioned community resolutions that you came up with. I'm wondering how you want to follow up on those communities to say they are working there for us in our education. Lastly, it's going to Anai. Thank you very much for your work in school. But the numbers are big. I feel like we need to see more numbers. Maybe you can try to use other means like the assemblies to see that you reach out to more numbers. In school. I also feel to work with as you do your as you reach out to maybe like the various people, they give them the standards that they should follow. It's very important. Then to all of them is something to do with lessons learned. My question is, what do you understand by lessons learned? How we all uniform those of lessons learned? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And okay, one last one. But as he's giving his feedback, let me invite the representatives once to the Andrew Ashoki. I know we can better manage time when you are here as a panel. So just come here. You're going to give us feedback on the different secondary points.
Thank you so much. My name is Basi Bishop. I work with the Indian Industrial Research Institute. Just a bit of maybe someone has mentioned it. It's about the policy context. In as much as efforts in the use of
Say, for example, that would be okay when you're trying to probably give context, but it needs a little bit of caution and a bit of target when you're doing the referencing of text. So whoever is in this, please rethink again on how to better reference text.
Thank you very much. Let us. Yeah, okay.
Yes, let's count on them as it's important. Being a person and so them the first month. And what I'm hearing, those what I had on the women, I did the one on the women. And I just got for them. Great improvement. You guys, you have done a lot of work. I really appreciate that. So I think I'm doing more of this. Champion was years. Their work, their work, but also improve their work. So there's one thing I missed in all of them, and even in one of the webinars I attended, I didn't hear the gatekeepers. Yet they are game changers. World over, gatekeepers, the cultural and religious leaders, those are the ones we call gatekeepers. They move their, whether in politics or in government, whether in investment, they are there. But all of these them. So my to engage the gatekeepers as stakeholders together. Those members in the room know that these gatekeepers are key. They have position, they also have influence on the ground. The message can go on a Friday during the Imam, in the mosque, the Sunday or the Saturday. Even they are called someone to order. Someone who can be someone by any position. So how do we engage them to ensure that they are part of change champions? How do we reach to them to become our champions? For example, you're working in Uganda, you expected to hear the Uganda Kingdom. How do we engage the Uganda Kingdom? The other day I was watching on the TV and the cathedral was launching the campaign. With some with the institutions to show that they reach the ground because they are the information. Then two, this is a question to the CSOs. Yes, you have had what you have done on the ground, you have had on the recommendations. So my question is, what do you want us to do outside your sphere of influence? How do we push this message out of Uganda? What do you want us to do? That now we know, yes, those about the investors' lands. That we go take there as this is what you want this CCP to be supported on. Clear cut. That now when you engage in a donor like Ford Foundation, CIDA, the other agencies, then you know that there is a best practice in this CSO or CDO that you can take a leaf and provide. I was waiting to hear. I wanted to listen to someone on the table there. I want to listen to the voice of a child holding this placard. Yes, but the message is key, good. I see them in pictures, but that's 5 seconds of a child speaking about that waste management message. We remove my than speaking that that. So how do we ensure that we have that message go over to ensure that we bring more money here? Otherwise, thank you very much for the great work.
Thank you. Let us appreciate everybody who has given us feedback in every way. Let us clap for them. Yeah. And Raymond, you're taking us now dissemination part 2. This is dissemination within the room. But Raymond now wants us to disseminate beyond the room, using the output or the outcome of the program. Thank you so much. This is very valid feedback, and every organization, I believe that you have taken note of questions to do. Some of them have been supplementary comments, knowledge areas of improvement, and we do appreciate that and take note of that. Especially the very first comment from Claudia on how we package the information that we get from the community about what has been done. Yeah, it's never that nothing has been done. There's always something that's been done that maybe already. So that was taken in positively, and probably we're not going to comment on that, but appreciate it as a positive comment for our improvement in next presentations. And as we move forward, we're going to start with you, and I. You know, there was a very good comment from Peter there, and wanting you to differentiate, you know, the different aspects and different target groups that you have been working with. But besides that, also on the last area, we had a question come on. I think I need to locate it, but maybe down, just when you come to
very much again. Begin with Dr. He highlights, and I want to first and foremost acknowledge important aspect of this awareness. Also to note that in some cases they could be within our implementation, we have had them be beneficiaries, but indirectly. If you see, we've been working with communities and schools directly, but our mass media campaigns that we put forward in the months of January through some of the national TVs like UBC Radio, U24 TV, among a few, Excel TV. These were categorically targeting the other people way beyond our communities that we've been working with. So we want to believe that while we are targeting the other indirect beneficiaries, these specific people were part of this audience, because for a fact we all know that UBC is so much listened to by the policy makers, the decision makers, the business people. The young generation normally calls it a TV for the old. So it normally attracts so much the people that we're talking about here, the private sectors and other decision-making bodies. So that was an indirect way of tackling this number of people or this target audience.
Thank you, Andrew. The second question you had was, how do you see numbers in schools?
He had another question on the lipstick.
Okay.
That I would like to approach. Okay. So on the lipstick, we have certain criteria, certain things that we've been preaching out to the people in the communities in actually quarter. Not every lipstick, this is a disclaimer, not every lipstick is bad, not every cosmetic is bad. But what are those red lights that you look out for? That before you use the product, can you first look at the label instructions? UNBs, you can read this and giving alternatives to them. That when you look at a cheap product, we want to call the cheap products that they are miracle products. People normally run for the cheap products because it's very affordable. So in our communities, we've been telling them, do not go for the miracle products, but look at an authentic alternatives we've been giving to them. I hope I answered that. And then I'll bring back to my brother the question that you asked about the numbers in schools in Saziwa. So you realize that at the beginning of the project, as an organization, we had a target, which was 500 students. That was what we had at the drawing board. So we surpassed this number to 530. So this may look small, but also we need to keep in mind that the project implementation began towards the end of the year, October, November, and we entered schools in November. Senior 4 is in the national examination. Senior 6, same thing, other classes and preparations.
for the examination. So you look at the time frame that we had for this being quite challenging and intersecting with the national schools calendar. So maybe we can do better, keeping ahead. I told you to proceed with the project and with that.
Foundation, Equalized Foundation, you have you've been working with SCCA and NEMA, and how do we measure the progress that's being made in Kisenyi when it comes to air pollution and chemical use and misuse? And then you also have a question around how best can we use other information materials other than the print environmental framework, because you mentioned this as a way of extending the gains in this program.
Thank you so much, and I would like to thank you all for actively listening and having all these questions. They really help in better designing the program. And the first question, if we are working with NEMA and KCCA, how best can we measure results? And I think one of the things we can use is seeing practical what can I call them? Practical results that have really come out of working. We have existing school clubs that are right now operating and continuing with their work of educating the fellow learners. And then when you move within the community of Chisenyi, we are seeing that the local leaders are working actively with the groups that we have engaged, first of all, to develop the bylaw that we talked about. And the bylaw is mainly focusing on banning activities that is being done with HSA, because some of the community members do not have that 5,000 to give to the garbage collectors to take their garbage. They resort to banning it. So I think those are some of the results that you can actively see, but also the mindset change within some of the community members that you have interfaced with. You can see when they are talking about pollution, especially air pollution, they understand some of the dangers that it brings to their lives, but also especially the lives of persons with disabilities and their children, which is driving them to at least do something. An example is, I don't know if our chairperson is around will be able to share, but they are coming with an initiative within Chisenyi of buying sacks that are going to help them sort out and separate waste as a way of helping these community members to find ways of disposing of garbage instead of burning them. But also they are going to work directly with the people that collect that garbage. For the people that are interested in getting plastics, they are going to take them. But for the garbage that is going to be taken is also going to be taken by the people that are responsible. And I believe those are some of the tangible results that you can go in Chisenyi and find them that are still ongoing. And another thing, yes, we talked about the IEC map reviews and some of the ways we want to ensure sustainability, but not only that, we have been able to document, as Raymond talked about, the voice of the planners, issues of technology, but we documented several videos of planners sharing their experiences, but also some of them reading their essays that they designed and developed themselves. And I believe these messages can be used globally to reach out to different funders and stakeholders, because they have different asks within them and they are environmental friendly. And another thing about, I think I wanted to also, I noted something down. Lessons learned. What do we mean by lessons learned? For example, us as Equalives, we went in the community of Chisenyi telling people that please stop burning, and they were burning copper, and they told us, yes, you want us to stop burning copper, but it is our source of livelihood. So one of the things we have learned that if we are to implement this program better, we need to design programs that also have the livelihood aspect of it. So if we want really communities to stop burning and to stop contributing to air pollution. We also need to find ways that are going to sustain them and their families, because you can't tell me to stop burning, yet it is my income. I know I'm going to die. So you see, so it is good for us as different stakeholders to design these programs in a way that is going to ensure that we tackle those different aspects that are interlinked within air pollution. And also, someone talked about consent. We took the pictures and the videos because we have a lot of them. We have been using them online. We have shared with GAP. God knows where they are, but we talked to the school administration about that we are going to be using these videos and pictures of learners. Please, is it okay? And the school gave us consent. I know the school is not the guardian, but also we were able to engage the parents and guardians of these learners within the awareness creation, because some of the learners drew some of the pictures you saw. We used those pictures to take them to the communities, and they even had names of those learners. So parents were identifying them, but also in that process, we were also able to seek consent from the parents to let them know that we will be able to use some of these images and videos through our different social media platforms, but where, for example, we need a specific video maybe for a particular activity, I think it will be very key again for us to go back to seek consent directly for that specific child and directly to their parents.
Thank you so much, Nikolai Foundation. Now to your hands up.
Thank you very much. That I made, stories move hearts. One is that as Sons of Hope initiative, we do not have the capacity to collect that, like hire a consultant, but we are lucky that we have yes, we have YADNET, and that is why we are here. We have partners. Our journey has been an interesting one. We've learned a lot from them. They are our technical partners, they've taught us, but also we have the Health and Pollution Action Plan that YADNET has been working with together with NEMA, Ministry of Health, and other partners. And in that, we have a lot of data that we've been using in the community. We've been able to disseminate that in our local language, and the general language in Central is Uganda, but in Bwai it's a different. So we have to translate it to like twice. So you may tell someone, you may think you're sorting in Bwai, so they have different terms for sorting. What actually let me get another term, punishment. We were doing one of the community sensitizations. One of the, we have drunk people, and then this was disturbed by this other person, not sharing the facility, like disturbing the facilitator. So they were like, so I was like, yeah, so it is a panic, like they have to put you on a, what is it? Yes, they have to put you on a rack, but it doesn't mean that they are going to put you on a rack. It means that they should be punished for what they are doing, disrupting the facilitator. So they have different terms in which, so when it comes to data, that is what I was talking about. So we learned from the HPAC, we translate it in Uganda, but you also have to know the other language, training us, building our capacity. We interact with big data, with statistics that we are able to, disseminate further. Yeah, so that is the data that I'm talking about that we tell the policymakers at KCCA. And I was amazed that at KCCA they don't speak English when we are negotiating inside out. They don't. They speak Luganda. Because there's no point of speaking actually English. Yeah, so
thank you.
So another
what happens after waste has been sorted? How is waste sorting handled?
Yeah, so in terms of waste sorting, one is that yes, we did trainings in waste sorting, he talked about the value chain. In 6 months commitment for KCCA. I don't know fruits, but also we celebrate with like is that big trench. How is Marlene? I heard it in yes, there's a drainage channel, a big one here, another bypass. So they promised to give us some space where they are going to be the local people within that division, the taxi park, as well we implement from are going to be bringing sorted waste so that KCCA buys it from them. I think I talked about it, but I didn't really explain it. So that KCCA buys it from them. So yes, for recycling, and KCCA also promised to take them to Guyana. I think right now that is where they dump. Yes, so KCCA promised to take them for Guyana for an exchange visit, so that they know how all this process happens. But the projects are not long enough to help us to facilitate us see all.
Yeah, and lastly, the follow-up on the resolution, how would you plan?
Yes, so when I was talking about the resolution, I talked about the action plan. It wasn't in the resolution. Because we know if we bring a resolution and there's no plan on how this is going to be implemented, it's not going to work. Yeah, so we came up with an action plan. We also implored KCCA Kawente Division to budget for it. Yes, we did. We requested that they do. That we had an action plan and allocated different people, because in that meeting, we had cultural leaders, we had religious leaders, we had different stakeholders. So we ensured that everyone has a role to play in the action plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Around the comments for panelists, have they handled our inquiries? Yeah. Thank you so much. Also, question so that as soon as possible in regards to how best, what else do you want to front as a way of taking forward this campaign on all these pollution challenges that we are dealing with. Sorted, right? Yeah. I want to see the cameras elsewhere. I want to see the manure, coming through from it and all that. So that has to change. The equalize Tony and I give us the solutions, please, as you take over and go back to your seats. Thank you so much. And it is our panel discussion. Okay, so right after that has been highly informative and also forward-looking. If they get you banning West, if they get you banning West, you may be them imprisoned. Hey, have already been noted down as a result from this discussion. And now we just have really key kind of like notes that we need to listen in from KCCA. KCCA, we cannot leave this room without hearing from you. So we are welcoming you, Susan. Let us clap for Susan. Right after Susan, we will have an information from the Ministry of Water and Environment, Dr. Obubu, and then we'll have our workshop closing with Emma. So I ask for your attention. If you're with me, lift up your hand. If you're with me, another one. If another one, try to touch the roof. Now, try to touch the roof while standing. I'm wondering how you, while seated. Please stand up and try to touch that roof. I want to see who's the tallest. Strategies for standing on the chairs. I can know. All right, you can have your seats and let us start.
Hello everyone. I'm so honored to be here.
Thank you so much, YADNET, for this. Well, here I think the results speak for themselves. I don't need to speak much. My name is Narada, and I'm an environmental officer. For us, part of the work we are doing to make sure pollution is kept out of our city. First, that air pollution. Air pollution, as we all know, air pollution is a silent killer, and most of us here, especially my fellow ladies, before I even talk about the things that we've been doing as cases here, how many of you are using gas cookers? How many of you are no longer using stoves, charcoal stoves? No one say me, I'm using both. So air pollution is a silent killer and it's all over. But as KCCA, some of the things we have come up to ensure this stops, it's the massive campaigns that we are carrying out in our divisions. We are moving out, we are sensitizing people. We have air quality ambassadors. We are using village health teams to pass on the message. We have village health teams of over like 1,000, and they are distributed in each and every parish. And these are the people who pass on the message to the communities. Then we also have we have installed monitors. We have deployed air quality monitors. We have over 43 installed air quality monitors in different divisions of Kampala. But we are also procuring 50 more air quality monitors. And for this one, we are going to be sure about the data that we are going to be collecting from these monitors, and this is going to help us make informed decisions on every other data that we collect from our monitors. Then the other thing we are doing as KCCA, we have at every end of year we have what we call YADNET Dissemination campaign, and we give awards to the division that is performing best in how less polluted it is, how they have well managed their waste, and the last winner of last year was Kawempe division. Yet we all know that Kawempe division is the most polluted division in Kampala, but last year they tried their best in terms of waste management, in terms of air pollution, to do the work. They put in the work and they won. And this helps us promote this helps us promote the things that we are doing on the ground, things like improving the pollution challenges that we have in Kampala. Then we have we do enforcement, we carry out enforcement for those who have been in Kampala recently. We all know that Kampala is now breathable, but even beyond that, maybe I'll give a case scenario. Yesterday we had a scene. When we got the opportunity to take out the vendors from the streets, the public health team started going out there to do inspections of the buildings down there, and we have realized that drainage is bad. People, those buildings, you see, they are doing so bad. They are rotting. That's the best one I can use. But we try to talk to these managers and owners of these buildings, and some of them are facing arrests, apparently, because they are not willing to accept what is happening on ground. They are not willing to change what we are trying to tell them. So we are effecting arrests, but all those are performed under the legal frameworks that we have. We have the Solid Waste Ordinance 2000, and we are also improving that Solid Waste Ordinance to fit into the current situation of Kampala. Then if you also know We also have the air quality standards regulation that is for 2024. That's the one we also use. It is helping us to try to improve the air quality in Kampala, but also by implementing it, we can't do much for now because it's not aligned with the nature of the pollution challenges that we have in Kampala. And that's why we are trying to draft an air quality ordinance. It's still under review. We are waiting for our council to sit down so that we can get the final copy out. So some of the challenges we have as KCCA, of course, it's politics. We are facing the challenge of politics. We are facing the challenge of bureaucracy. We are facing a challenge. Like again, yesterday there is one person whom we arrested. I won't mention the name because she's the daughter at one of the richest people we have in Kampala, in courts. And when she reached in office, she was speaking to our bosses. The woman was so arrogant, you people. She knew what she had done. She knew what we were trying to communicate. We need to improve the nature of the building. At least do some renovations. The people are going to die. But this lady stood up on her 2 feet and said, "What do you mean? What do you want? What are you saying?" What our bosses? We were all quiet. We were waiting for the next step. And the manager of the building was going to be taken in. But for some reason, that's why I have much respect for people like our bosses. They always know what to do. This lady, for some reason, calmed her. There is a way she spoke to her, and she came down. She started apologizing. And says, "What can we do? What's that?" Like she started begging because she realized this time we were serious. It's not jokes. So those are some of the challenges we are facing, and we want to tell people we are out there not to show that we have too much power or what, but the law works and we know what we want for our city. Who doesn't like a clean city? Like we all like a clean city. We want to live in a livable city. But the best we can do for ourselves is to improve ourselves first. I usually tell people that charity begins at home. So if we are talking about waste management, if we are talking about sorting waste, are you doing it in your home? Are you doing it, let's say, like at your workplace? For those who have organizations, CSOs, do you really have like the red basket, the green basket, and the yellow basket to sort in that waste? Because if we don't do that, then I don't know if you can give what you don't have. I don't know if that really applies, but for me, I think I can only give so I encourage us message. Firstly, do what you can. Do the practice from wherever you are. If it's your home, if it's your family, if it's in your community, like be that leader. Then when you go out, you can spread that message and it will be taken in. So before I close, yes, we are all. Before I close, we have also planted trees. Yeah, we have planted over 15,000 trees. We have planted over like 15,000 trees, including those which have been cut.
And most of those trees are also contributing to, first of all, breeding our environment, but also trapping the what? The carbon. Because you know we have a lot of cars. Recently, I don't know if you have also faced the challenge of jam in Kampala. I don't know if people were hiding their cars during elections. Out of the blue, everyone started driving. So jam is too much because the vehicles are too much, and the more the vehicles on the road, the more pollution you're likely to take in, the more poor air quality. So I wish, I don't know if we have Ministry of Works here. When we were outside, I was talking to my colleagues how I wish we can have those buses, Kayola buses. Yeah? How I wish. I don't think if they bring those buses on the road, I'm sure you are going to leave your cars here. And that's what you know. But we are constructing roads. We are constructing roads. So if at all those buses come on the road, it will be easy to take out the border people. It will be easy to reduce the old taxis. Then the other thing is, now, that statement you just made, those are some of the reasons why we are still where we are. Yes. You know, I'm telling you, because we have to first believe in ourselves. It's doable. It's doable. For me, I wish if there is Ministry of Works here, I wish we can put that into practice. And we are going to have this team work. I believe it can work. It can work. Then we as KCCA, we carry out inspections, we go into industries, factories, we review environmental impact assessments for every development in Kampala, and through those reviews, we are able to write comments that are taken to another agency, which is DEMA. But in such ways, it's how we have been able to do what? To implement the framework, the National Environment, the National Environment Regulation 2019. And those things we do of when you review, for example, a factory, you're able to provide a comment of how they are going to prevent what, or how they will prevent air pollution. If they can at least buy an equipment that is able to monitor their air quality, you implore them to manage their waste properly, to have their effluent, whatever, their effluent, what's the word? Their effluent treatment plants. So it's a combination of very, very many activities that we do. So with that, I want to thank you for listening, but also I want to implore you. As this time around, we are using deterrents. I am going to come to you and I will tell you this is wrong. This is wrong. Says ABC. By the time you know, by the time you find yourself to use force, but at least we have understood that people need this knowledge. People actually don't know this. People need this knowledge. Then partnership. So proud of the people proud of them. They are doing, personally, I don't really great work. And I know beyond the CSOs, the CBOs, if we can go as far and involve with other agencies, like we have been working with another agency, NEMA, the Ministry of Works, like YADNET is a first, by the way, let's first give a hand clap to YADNET. Like he has, these people have managed to bring different agencies in one room. It's not easy. It's not easy. Who got a challenge? Yeah. So they're doing a great job. And partnerships is one of the ways we are able to do what? To improve on pollution in Kampala. So with those remarks, I hope we are moving on the same course. I pray we move on the same course as Kampala, but also Wakiso. It's more like the same course. If we are talking about waste management, Uyala serves most of the nearby districts. So I pray that we are moving on the same course, we are aligned, and we improve ourselves for the better, for us to have good health. Because we must say thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, for coming in and giving us some insights from KCCA. You have clearly showed us that KCCA is not seated. We first heard from Hands of Hope, which told us they are working with KCCA in Kawempe, but have also supplemented it by telling us that KCCA is doing a number of things, including air quality monitoring. There is also the legal framework, which they are helping to regulate. They have planted trees, they are doing campaigns, they have ambassadors in the communities, they have who are doing awareness in the communities. So that is a clear indicator that the partners or the agencies which are responsible for pollution in Kampala are not seated. They are also taking some efforts, but the problem still persists. So we are about to come to the end of our day. We have a few more speakers to go, and then we'll close the meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Obobo from Ministry of Water and Environment to come and give us closing remarks. His closing remarks. Yes, in terms of what the ministry is doing. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't know these people don't like me like that. Yeah, I give closing remarks and you just clap. I know. I didn't like it. You guys want me here? I am standing between you and lunch. I know you are exactly how I very much. That's why like again, I can stay longer. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me give general comments on what has been done here. I think YADNET deserves appreciation. But very small job. I think my comment is how to scale this up. If you went to one area, talk to those people, does that translate to Uganda? How do we make this a bigger? How do we upscale this? That's the next question. We are doing this at pilot level. If you have planted 2 tomatoes and they are doing well, how do you make sure that you are planting acres?
that can supply the whole country. I think that is the thing that we need. I think the general comment that I want to talk about is the issue of packaging our information. I passed through stalls, shown some things we provided for people to put, but they were also not labeled. So next time we need to be organized. If you are providing people what to do, label it. So that when you talk about sorting the waste, you have sorted what you are giving people, they pick from what you have done. That's very, very important. One slide here says the trees are the most important that we need to plant, but I never saw any seedling anywhere in the school. We took maybe one seedling or two and told the people to plant or gave them to go and plant at home. So those are some of the messages that we need to put that can stick in the minds of the people that we are dealing with. My friend Andrew talked about a club. I think Dr. Peter, my namesake, mentioned about it. He has a club that can detect lead. I don't know how they are going to detect lead. I work in the Ministry of Water and Environment, and lead is one of the invisible things that only machines can detect. So if he has a club, I want to join that club. See how I can detect lead without a machine. So it's very important that we package our messages very, very well. So as a Minister of Water, those are general things I wanted to share. As a Minister of Water, of course, one of the slides which I appreciate most also say is it what messages move what? Acts move what? Stories move out, and then that's the point of view that we come in as a ministry. If we talk about pollution, lead, if we are talking about pollution of mercury, if we are talking about pollution of nitrogen, phosphorus, if we talk about pollution from all kinds of things, if we don't have data, there is no authority that you are going to say that this water is polluted. Everywhere I go, people tell me this water we are drinking is polluted over. Because when you raise it up here, it looks clear. But how do you see what is inside? If there is E. coli inside there, can you see it with your naked eyes? That's where the ministry comes from. We do a lot of analysis and we make sure that we tell people that this is polluted, this is not polluted. And the ministry has a broader mandate. We look at both drinking water, we look at wastewater, we look at the groundwater, we look at the surface water. For example, if I tell you, I think one of our most polluted water bodies is the Dissemination. It's not because I went there to see it with my eyes. It's because I have analyzed the water from the Dissemination. And I know what the quantities are. And I compare those quantities with the available standards. Then I tell you that this water doesn't pass this standard. So the ministry does that, gives the evidence, and that's what we are doing. And we are doing that because right now we have accredited, I think, 19 of our methods. 19 of them are accredited. So when you come to the ministry, you have a national water quality reference laboratory. When we analyze your sample, you can take it to court. Because we are operating at international level, you can't query the results that come out of the laboratory. If we tell you the sample is polluted with lead, it is polluted. Whether you take it to Europe, whether you take it to the moon, or you go to Mars, they will find that lead there. Because we are operating at international standard. So that's why the ministry comes in. We want to assure people, if we come to an industry with our Aristotle NEMA, and you look at your industry and find that you are polluting, you don't begin telling us that, but how we don't trust those machines of yours, our results are trust. That's why now we find even the oil companies, Total, Sinuk, they bring their samples to analyze now, which they used to ship outside Uganda, but now they are bringing them to Uganda. Second thing that we are doing in terms of detection is also we have moved to the regional levels. We have the regional laboratories, which some of you are aware of. We have 4 regional laboratories, one in Bali for Kyoga water management zones. We divided the country into hydraulic regions. We have one in Kyoga, Bali. We have the other one in Upper Nile, which is headquartered in Bira. We have Albert, headquartered in Kyoga. Then we have the Victoria zone, headquartered in Parara. So we are trying to make sure that we gather as much information as possible at the level. The other thing that we are doing as a ministry is to make sure we plan for the catchments. Whatever goes on, whatever chemistry, if you studied water management, I'm a doctor in water management, I'm a doctor of medicine. Whatever you see in a water body mostly comes from the catchment. Whatever you do in the catchment, you think you will throw it in a copper, you will get it in a fish that you will bite for. Because it will go to the water and the fish will consume it, and then you will eat it from the fish. You go to the water, the national water will get that water treated and drink it from your tap. The same pollution that you did in your compound and you throw to you, threw it there, it come back to you. I hope I'm raising some awareness somewhere, so that you don't throw things anyhow, because you know it's more. Yeah, so that you know that whatever you do comes back to you. It's not that you're anybody else. We're also trying to do some work on the air pollution. We have, as a ministry, have just installed 3 atmospheric deposition equipment. One is in Tebe, one is in Luzira, and one is in Kasese. We want to see what comes in from the atmosphere. LVMP1, Lake Victoria, I think there was a problem one time. There was a religious there was a religious man who would always say that may God be with you. The congregation would say, and also with you. So people knew the first one was to say when it comes to church that may God be with you. And the congregation would say. But the problem with the microphone one time. So when the deacon gave him the microphone, he said, the first one he said, but this is the problem with this microphone. And then the congregation said, and also so it's the microphone is the problems. LBLB, the Lake Victoria Management Project, especially phase 1, found that most of the pollution that comes from that comes into our water bodies comes from the atmosphere. We found that most of the pollution comes from the atmosphere. So we are trying also to look at what the atmosphere. We've started analyzing the data and a small portion which we have done in wet, which comes from the rain, especially after it has been dry. We found the loop of lead from the rain, because we are doing both dry and wet. Wet deposition looks at the rain, and then dry just clears the air. And for the one in Kampala, the cases lady we might take interest. When we go and pick whatever we have put inside to filter this air, to find the yellowish, showing there is a lot of that we have not yet analyzed. Maybe when we analyze, we will give. So that is part of what the ministry does. Ministry also does awareness. We have what they call the annual program performance report, which we are going to launch soon. I think on Monday, as a ministry, we're doing that internally. Then we will share with the public outside, where we publish the results that we do for the whole year. What do we do? Different departments of the ministry publish what they have done, including also the parastotals, including the NGOs, we work with the USS, and a lot of NGOs which work with water and sanitation. All that is published, we give that information to the public. Also, raising awareness, we had issues with the inner magician bay one time, and then we decided as a ministry that we needed to take their policy makers. We started with the permanent secretaries and the senior staff. Then we took the members of parliament from the National Officers Committee. Then we took the members of cabinet. We wanted to move up to the Prime Minister and to the President if it was possible. When they went and saw what happens in the bay, and we showed them that this is where the water is abstracted, which you are drinking, they said, is this true? We said, yeah, this is the fish you ate yesterday. It came from here and it's polluted. Some said, I'm not going to eat fish. So what am I saying? You need to raise awareness. Sometimes when we talk about pollution, people don't understand. You take them out there and they see exactly, and relate it to what they are doing or what they are consuming or what they are relating with every day, then we had some increase in terms of funds because they were not giving us any funds. We talk about pollution and they take it easily. So that is, in a nutshell, what we are doing as a ministry. We welcome other CXOs, other NGOs that are working with us in the issues of pollution, and YADNET is very keen in this, in raising this, and that's why I was able to participate. I don't know whether some of you saw me, and I thought it was very, very important that we talk about material, we talk about the there's so many issues that are happening with from Uganda that are related to those, but we don't know. People are just sick, people are just dying. They say you found this one day. The other day, I think you saw that picture. They said it was related to the heart. Somebody went to shop and was packing the things he shopped in the car and collapsed and died. Now they say the heart issue, but cardiovascular issues are related to these pollutions. So there is a lot that we need to do as a community. Thank you very much. I can stop here for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abu, for giving us some insights from water and environment. You have clearly showed us that the ministry is not seated in response to the pollution issues that we have here in Kampala, but also in other parts of the country. On that note, I would like to take this opportunity to invite Manager Wilbert from NEMA to come and give us closing remarks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by appreciating the ministry. Thank you for the remarks because we work together. I want to thank following the protocol. I want to thank the board chair, GAP, the country director, YADNET, the other partners that presented here. Thank you so much for the very big energy. Asante sana. So the energy. But I also want to appreciate other partners that have taken time to come here and participate, provide feedback. I see the feedback had the energy and so many positive things about what we are talking about here. Issues of pollution, air quality. That was very good. And we appreciate all of you in your respective dockets, the MDAs that are here, that are doing a great job to enhance the environment. And of course, the team from NEMA. I thank all of you for the time that you spare to provide the feedback that is very constructive. A lot has been done, and indeed, we can see the efforts of the partners. As NEMA, we work with the partners, and that is one of the modalities of our work. We do not work alone. We work with what we call the lead agencies. And the lead agencies are those partners that are mandated to handle certain segments of environment, but also other partners like the civil society organizations. And I'm very happy that now here we see up to the community-based level. That is the way to go. As I say that the pollution, issues to do with the pollution, it is not a one organization's role, or it is not a responsibility of an individual. And the Act is the National Environment Act is very clear on it. Whereas we have a right
to a clean and a healthy environment, we also have a duty. We have a duty, and that is when you look at section 3, subsection 2 of the National Environment Act. It has a provision that we have a duty, and given that, it means that even in our respective dockets or capacities, we need to do something. From the previous communicator, Dr. Ubobo, yes, I appreciate the fact that the organizations that have been presented here have done something small, but I also want to appreciate the fact that a change begins in a smaller way. Because just imagine you are seated in a car and maybe there's another vehicle moving, or even you're walking, and you see somebody throwing a big camera of waste into the window. Or even somebody next to you, either in a bus or taxi or in a vehicle, it could even be your vehicle, and you see this person throwing a heap of camera waste outside. How do you feel? The question is, have we taken responsibility at our personal levels to create a change? Say, for example, stop someone and say, excuse me, what you mean, this is not right. Have we taken that responsibility? How many of us have done that? I want to see. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's clap for them. It is a war. Environment management, it is a war that if we want to see a change in this country, we must all accept to fight. Whether at individual level or at a bigger organizational level, it is a war. When I was one time a team leader, I will be quick. But one time when I was a team leader in northern Uganda, I was driving to go to Lira, and there was a bus in front. Somebody threw a very big heap of waste through the window. So I told the driver, take over. So we took over the bus. We had to stop the bus. We stopped them. Now, when we stopped them, I asked the driver and the conductor that I want to see who threw this waste. If not, we are not moving anywhere. They didn't know who I was. They did not know, because I told them I want to know before I introduce myself. Why did this person do this? Do you have bins in this? And I want to see the person. So because they were kind of now perplexed, they were confused, who is this person? I think they realized this person must be somebody from authority because of the car I was using. So they picked the person. They picked a lady. So I told them that, can you go back and pick the waste? It was something like 100 meters away. She had to walk when we were waiting for her until she got to the waste. She came back, entered the bus, and told the conductor, should it happen again, I'll take the bus. I'll arrest all of you and take the bus to police. We followed them, they were going to Lira, and I was also going to follow them until we hit Lira. Now, that alone sends a message to so many people. I got another gentleman, a very smart gentleman, getting out with the family from the church. And then after drinking water, he threw the bottle to the drainage. I stopped him. He said, excuse me, sir, this is not right. Can you kindly take it and put where it's right? And he accepted. He was a very smart man. So what am I emphasizing here? I'm emphasizing that we all need to take responsibility and do something. Some people can abuse you, but that should not stop you, because it is the way we have started and we need to take it to another level. Now, as NEMA, we have done some things, and I may not speak everything because we can take so many hours, but I just want to highlight what we have done as NEMA. Already Dr. Richard has highlighted. I think some 2 weeks ago, NEMA issued a letter banning open burning of waste. And all the local governments have received this communication. Now, we want to encourage that at the local government level, we want to encourage that action is taken. The laws are there. If of course, we first want to continue creating awareness that this is illegal, and then we also make sure that we take it to the local governments to ensure that this is implemented. But apart from that, we have done a number of things on policy and legal aspects. For example, already, Susan had talked about air quality regulations and standards. 2024, we work together, and those standards are there. We need to see that the components of the standards are enforced. But also, we have worked with the Airport Uganda, and we have worked to install air quality monitors in the different cities of this country. And the process is still even ongoing. As we speak now, we are procuring more to ensure that we cover the entire country. And in the process, we shall be able to monitor and tell the air quality in the different cities of this country. And that's just the beginning. In terms of awareness, we're working with the other partners, of course, including KCCA, Air Quality, Airco, Uganda, and others. During the Air Quality Awareness Week, we do the campaigns, we do engage in the media, and we try to create awareness on this. But also, we have worked with education institutions. Generally, in terms of partnerships, we are trying to create partnerships with the strategic partners to ensure that the information on issues to do with pollution and all other aspects of environment are taken to the communities. We have done the partnership recently. We signed an MOU with the Uganda government. We have also signed the different MOUs with the different other institutions like the church. And I believe through this effort, we shall reach a bigger community, and we should be in position to ensure that the environment reaches the bigger communities. There are many other aspects that we talk about. For example, we are trying to popularize documents through popular versions, which are translated in the different popular languages to ensure that now the information goes down. And we are right now working with the Airport and other partners, the strategic partners, to develop a policy brief for advocacy at the national level. So there are many things that we are doing, including enforcement. We work with other partners to enforce some of these laws. However, I would encourage that, one, we are aware that about 68 to 70% of Uganda's population is a young team. Those are the youth, and they are the future stewards of environment in this country. And I think that's why we should put in even more attention to education institutions. I want to thank all the partners that have done something in education institutions. Behavioral change takes time, and if we start with the primary and secondary, I believe after 5-10 years, we may change the narrative in our country. So I encourage that, but also local government participation. The environment management is a decentralized function, and without the involvement of the local governments, we may not go very far. But of course, we have to be like marketeers. Sometimes you go to a local government, maybe sometimes you may get a different expectation, but then we have to be strategic in marketing our information. They will either accept or reject depending on how we package the information. Sometimes when we package information and then they are not buying it, then you'll find that there's some level of resistance, especially when people are expecting maybe the monetary value of something. It is always very challenging. The awareness programs are continuous, and I want to encourage all the partners that are here. We have now the Water and Environment Week. We have World Wildlife Day coming. We have Uganda Water Day. It's coming. We also have World Environment Day. I am actually coordinating World Environment Day celebrations at NEMA. I want to get the contacts here, and I invite all of you to be part of the preparations, and then these are opportunities for us to showcase. For example, if you've done this wonderful work that you're showing here, why don't we use these days to showcase? Already Water and Environment Week, there are opportunities for demonstrations, for us to showcase. Why don't we join in that? Why don't we join in the Water Day? Why don't we join in World Environment Day celebrations? I want actually to highlight that this year's theme for World Environment Day is actually looking at the global action on climate change. And the celebrations are going to be in Westland, but that does not eliminate segmented celebrations at different levels. You can do something from where you are. And I want to encourage you that our work, even at the level of civil society, we need to showcase, and there are basic practices that you've spoken here that we need to show the world out there. And when we work with the media, you will see that the work will be seen and we shall reach a bigger population. I want to also say that, of course, partnership is the way to go, and I think that will be very, very important. Before I conclude, I want to say that we need, as the way to go, we need to continue working as partners. But commitment is very, very important in fighting the battle of environment management in this country. And of course, we are all constrained by finances. And then, of course, there are some other constraints that we mentioned here, like the politics. It is always, those challenges will always be there. But we need to continue pushing until one time we shall succeed. One of the battles that we want to try to see, we're already working towards that, is to see that we have a total ban on single-use plastics. And I want to tell you that already we are working with the partners like the Ministry of Water and Environment, KCC and others, to see that this is brought to the attention of the cabinet and then the parliament, for again to see that we amend the law. This act you see here, you see that we amend it so that we have a total ban on single-use plastics in this country. And I believe one day we are going to succeed. So let's keep pushing on. It is a hard fight, but I'm sure we shall succeed. I want to again to reiterate by extending my appreciation to YADNET, to all the partners that have organized this, partners in the partnership, and all of you for the time that you spared. It was very great. I loved the energy of the presenters of the different. Let's clap those people. The energy of those young people is inspiring. Let's keep the momentum. And I think with this we shall succeed. With that, I adjourn the meeting and for God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manager Wilbert, for those wonderful remarks. I thought I was the only person who noticed the energy in the room, but I am happy that other people have also noted the energy in the room. Thank you so much, members. We are left with only one speaker, and that is going to be the board chair for YADNET, who is going to give us the last closing remarks, and then we will officially close this meeting. The board chair, YADNET. We have already heard from the board chair, so the board chair YADNET is going to close and officially close this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Simple. First of all, after thanks for coming a little bit. I don't want to use the other saying that also complain. No, it's just the city is a menace, these things. Roads are closed, then vehicles are diverted, so you can't take time. But next time I'll be first. I wish to thank everyone who has endeavored to come. It has been a moment, few hours of the day, but they've been very productive. For those who have moved with us in this struggle position, you know where we are coming from. NEMA, ministry, KCC, KCCA, and the other partners struggle. Please don't get tired when we invite you again and again and again. The scripture is just giving and God. We know we have an endless chapter. I know, number one, the problem has started not only authorities, but has started right from our homes. The discipline. What we inherited from our parents, we are pushing to our children, we are pushing our plans. Since I was born, I knew we were banning rubbish everywhere. Now, they are threatening that 5 years. So it's not but it means what you process of awareness, forming people right from schools, our communities. I will take a leaf from, say, when we were starting the war on HIV, we used the churches and mosques. Then it came to radios. So for those ones in arms against pollution, I think we need also. But we can't move as CSOs alone. We may not do that. But we need to incorporate each and everybody who has a voice, the masses. And this should also go where our teachers come from, because they are the conduits to our children. So if we put, we need a kafaya colleges, I think we also have yeah. Otherwise, I don't want to stand between some say between lunch and near lunch. So, yeah, so I wish to thank everyone on the team and everyone who has seen this function success. I wish you the best on your way back. Thank you very much.
Microphone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient with us. We have officially ended, but I request that you have a group photo at outside. Then we have our lunch, and then you